stop. In other words, now we have 3-minute rounds and 2-minute rounds. But back then, if you fell, that was a round. I don't know where we're getting the echo from. Don't know. Okay, so you ever hear? I got an echo. I don't need this echo. Kill the echo. Anyhow, they would draw a line. They fought in pits. They weren't in a ring, and they wore boxing shoes that had 3 cleats, 1 forward and 2 back. And somebody nailed me. Somebody got me with something. There we go. He fixed it, I think. Did you fix it? Anyhow, but now it's still got the echo, pal. But they, let me just turn this down. He has to kill the echo is in our room, I think. It just happened. So anyhow, so the fighter would come out, and that's when you read about there's to be, fights that were like,
that was around.
That was around. So you could come out, and so even to this day, you hear people say, I remember my grandma, people saying things like toe the line. Well, that's what they corners would yell to the fighters. If you couldn't go out and place your lead foot on the line, the fight was over. If you couldn't get back up and stand with your toe on the line, then the fight was over. And
I learned something.
Yeah,
didn't know that.
Yeah, so
my father was a huge Floyd Patterson fan.
He's a good man
with the glass jaw.
Good man, Floyd Patterson.
Yeah, and there would be Thursday night fights on the black and white TV in the 50s.
Wednesdays and Fridays. What I remember it was Gillette on Friday night, and it was Pabst Blue Ribbon bouts on Wednesday night. Watched the fights with my dad.
I'm from the Midwest. You're a little further east. That's memory. But Floyd Patterson was middleweight?
Oh, he's a heavy. But he was fighting up over his weight, and he really, really did well until Ingemar Johansson came, and then Floyd won it back. He was the first guy to win the title twice. And he took it back.
That's right.
And then along came Sonny Liston. Sonny Liston emulsified him. And everybody thought Sonny was going to do that to this young upstart from Kentucky, Cassius Clay. And those fights will be forever. They'll be forever, ever, and ever. I got to pull the pin. Hey, thanks, Dick. Yeah. Thanks, Dick. 7:10 KNUS on a Saturday morning. I'm Peter Boyles. 53 will be the high, 60 on Sunday. David Ellis, Cherry Creek. Saw David this week. I'm out making my rounds now since they gave me back my driver's license. Take your valuables to David Ellis and get a fortune in cash. Valentine's came and went, and nobody did the right thing. Give somebody a hint or do it for yourself. It's still true. See David in case you don't have a Rolex watch, rare coins, or a silver tea set. See David for all the most meaningful gift-giving occasions. David Ellis Jewelers, just the right items, just the right prices for special people that mean the most. An antique watch, an emerald pendant, a gold necklace, a diamond ring. This trusted jeweler has been buying precious metals and antiques in Colorado for decades. Dazzling cases. See the man, Third and Clayton and Cherry Creek. 6 days a week. He's open now. DavidEllis.com. Saturday morning, everyone, 7:10, KNUS and the Talk Station, February 23, 2025. It will be the high today, Sunday and Monday, 65 degrees. We're talking about Donald Trump's first month, the loss of Jerry Butler, all over the board, Palestine, Israel. We go to Nick in Denver. Nick, thank you for waiting. Good morning. You're on the show.
Thanks for taking my call. I know talking about the Middle East is like trying to, how does Churchill put it, to unravel a mystery and locked inside a puzzle, whatever.
Yeah, he was talking about the Soviet Union when he said that.
But you could easily apply it to.
Oh, no, absolutely. A couple of places. Yeah, but you're right. Yes.
But I was going to suggest that
yes. He's gone. Huh. Call back. 303-696-1971. We have wide open lines. It happens on the weekends with radio shows. We'll be jammed here in about 2 seconds. Everybody will call up and want to be on. But I think it's a different rhythm on a Saturday, and certainly Mikey Boyles show on Sunday. It's a different rhythm. And then a drive show that I did drive shows for years. That's what they're called. And I wanted to mention this too. Sam Moore was Sam. There was Sam and Dave duo. Sam Moore died, and I had to go and triple look. But we talked about the death of Jerry Butler, and some people, I don't know. Maybe it's because time passes and what people once thought. But if you know popular music, and I don't pretend to, but I'm just a fan. Jerry Butler was probably the premier soul singer of the 1960s, and he was a baritone. The way he don't love you, but for your precious love. I was thinking about these tunes. The only the strong survive. Make it easy on yourself. Jerry Butler songs, and I, like I said, he came in the studio when I was working at KOA. I think is when I got to meet Jerry Butler. But he's a Hall of Famer, and he's just a one-of-a-kind guy. And they grew up with Curtis Mayfield. They were Philly guys, and people talk about TSOP, the sound of Philadelphia, but it was Jerry Butler. And again, he came through with all of these songs. Elvis Presley covered a bunch of stuff that Jerry Butler did. But the Iceman, Jerry Butler, and I think things that are imprinted in our collective Volkgeist or whatever it is. But for me, it was, I went to my first rock and roll show and I saw Jerry Butler, and I guess he must've been 20, and he did the one knee thing, and I had to ask everybody what it was. I'd never seen a suit like that before in my life. Remember shark skin? Shark skin was badass back there. Gangsters were shark skin suits. And Jerry Butler came out and he had a blue shark skin on. They hit him with a spotlight. And there's the Allegheny County cops, man. They were standing in front of the stage, and the Iceman went, and he was the impressions for your precious love and only the strong survive. And I'm looking now at the internet, and you said about Jerry, and Jerry Butler was and he was getting involved in politics when I met him, and he became a Cook County commissioner. You know that great line about Cook County? There's a sheriff of Cook County, like there is every place. But in Royko's book, Boss, I said, we only give the sheriff one term. And somebody said, why? And he said, if you can't steal enough, when one term is sheriff, you don't deserve a second term. All right, 303-696-1971. Donald Trump, and they're firing thousands of federal workers and dismantling the independent agencies, ending birthright citizenship, imposing tariffs on the countries that have trade deficit with the U.S. And the result has been one hell of a month. Get your thoughts, 303-696-1971. And Brandon Adams clearing calls, and we're getting ready to go. Let me see. The names will turn up here in 1 second, and then we'll be ready to do radio shows. Donald Trump's first month. All right, here we got Gary. Was Jerry or Gary?
Jerry.
Does it say Jerry? Jerry?
Jerry.
Gary. Oh, you're on the radio show. Good morning.
No, Jerry with the J.
Jerry, I'm sorry. I apologize. Good morning.
Hi, Peter.
Hey, man.
I met you when I lived in Denver, actually Arvada. I met you a couple times on motorcycle rides and
cool.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And down there where the Harley shop on Colfax was, you met
was that
me and
Freedom?
my wife and stuff.
That was Freedom. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I bought my motorcycle from in 2004, and I still have it.
What do you got?
But it's a 2004 Electric Glide Classic, and it's a beautiful bike. I bought from them right off the showroom floor. They had decked it out with chrome and everything, and in fact, I wrote it down that day, and you says, "Where's your bike?" And I said, "Out front." And you came down to the front door. It was kind of cool that day, and we looked at it through the glass. You know, you told me what a beautiful bike it was and everything. Anyway,
electric rides.
Yeah. I wanted to tell you, since then, I moved to Kentucky, and I'm living in Kentucky now, and I'm listening to you, streaming on the radio and stuff. And I just thought, I'd give you a call and tell you, how much I miss listening to you all the time when I was in Denver and stuff. But now I got a reminder on my phone to turn on the radio on my computer on Saturday mornings so I can listen to it.
Thank you.
So it's my understanding you said Rich Wyatt was going to be on your program?
Yes, he is at noon. High noon.
Noon, Colorado. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I just can't believe when you said that he was the president or chairman of the Republican Party
for Jefferson County.
Yeah. I mean, that's just blows me away. Because
you and millions of others, but when you said, I can't believe it, I said, believe it.
Well, I met Rich a few times. In fact, when I first got my concealed carry permit, I went to, the gun shop down there, and he gave the class, and I got my first permit from him. Yeah. And I'm not going to get in a bunch of bad mouthing, but I just never trusted that guy. He just has a bad feel, man.
Richard is he is a consummate survivor, and when the neighborhood I grew up in, people went to jail and came home, and my Uncle Gene, who was a big influence in my life, my Uncle Gene said, he said they paid their dues, they paid the price for what they did. And so I don't know how much time Richard did. He got sentenced, I think, initially to like 72 months federal time. He wasn't gone 72 months, but he was gone.
Right.
And do you say to somebody, okay, you paid your dues to society? That answer is yours, not mine. And so I just sleep with one eye open anytime that's okay.
Around.
That's all right. Hey, look,
maybe he's a great guy now. I don't know.
Listen, prison changes you. I mean, I don't care who you are. I mean,
well, I'm gonna keep listening because I'm anxious to see, hear you interview him and stuff.
I see him all the time. I see him, talk to him all the time. I mean, we were great. I was his voice for Gunsmoke, and then when they started the television show, and he was wrapped up in that, and then everything that happened after that, and it is what they always say. It is what it is. He did the time. He did the crime. He did the time.
Yeah, that show, American Guns was the name of it, I believe.
I believe so. Yeah.
And anyway, they had a big parking lot party one day, and they had the filmmakers down there filming and stuff.
Yeah.
And anyway, as I left the parking lot and I pull out on 30, I believe it was on 38th, wasn't it?
44th, I thought.
44th, okay. I was headed west towards the interstate from the gun shop there. And anyway, that program that they aired showed me on the bike riding away.
Oh, cool.
And I captured it on my cell phone. I had it for years. I'd say, "Yeah, man, I was on
That's
TV."
me. That's me.
Yeah. But yeah, Peter, I love listening to your show and everything. I'm glad that you're doing well, and you're a survivor too, man. I've heard all your stories. Your dad was a policeman, if I remember
no,
right.
that's Caplis's dad.
Yeah, Caplis, yeah.
My old man was the furthest thing from a cop. No.
All right, buddy. I love you.
Be safe.
Ride safe.
Thanks,
if
Jerry.
you still ride.
You too, man. Thanks. All right. My good friend, Danny Caplis. Look at this copies right in front of me. And Dan suggests you choose an attorney who shares your values because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you and, of course, everybody involved. Dan Caplis' dad was a cop, Chicago cop. Dan's also a former seminarian, dedicated the last 40 years of his life helping folks. What a law firm, what a lawyer. He's my friend. And Danny believes the only attorney in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases is him. Dan also believed it won the largest truck crash verdict in the history of Colorado. And Caplis Law, the official law partner, the Nuggets, and now the Avalanche as well. And I saw Dan, trying to think when I did a show back, I guess, about 4 weeks before I got zapped. And he's just a man. He really is. Caplis Law, a serious firm for serious cases. Danny accepts the righteous injury cases of a percentage fee basis. In other words, he's working on the come. He can represent good people from all walks of life without regard of ability to pay. When you need Danny's help, 303-770-5551. I urge you to call him 303-770-5551 or hit caplislaw.com. It's CAPLAS, caplislaw.com. He is my friend. What do you want to do here? 3.5 minutes. We got 3.5 minutes. We can go to the phones. Let us go to Don. Hey, Don, you're on the radio show Saturday morning. Good morning.
Morning, Peter. How are you doing?
I'm really well. Thank you.
Feeling better?
Thank you. Yes.
Good. Glad to hear that. Maybe you'll be around another week or so, huh?
10 days.
5 minutes or 5 o'clock. We want to be at my shop, whichever comes first.
Whichever comes first. That's right. That's right.
Hey, you read Government Gangsters, right?
Yes. I know the book.
When I read that, when Cash came out with it, and I've always been a fan of his. I was praying that he'd be the head of the FBI.
Yeah.
And when all these cards decide that Trump's going to get revenge and this and that, and he says, we're just going to go by the law. Well, think about what that means. A lot of that stuff goes back, but I don't think there's a statute of limitations on some of the crap they were pulling on Trump back in 2016.
I'm always surprised.
Cash and
yeah.
Go ahead.
You say.
Cash and Nunes and Grinnell, they just totally opened that whole Russia hoax thing up. They were, those guys totally instrumental.
But what's interesting to me is the FBI, the CIA, these people have always been questionable ever since the fermenting, ever since the beginning. And it's really interesting to hear conservative right-wing people, I assume you are, talking like a bunch of late 60s, early 70s left-wing U.S. hippie radicals that talked about, this is what the CIA is doing. This is what the FBI is doing. This is what, the so-called deep state or the dark state does. And they were blown off by people that did radio shows and others. Oh, no, that's not true. Now,
we didn't have the information back then, Pete.
Oh, yeah, they did. The left had it. They were talking about it. You couldn't trust the FBI. You couldn't trust the CIA. You couldn't trust the federal government. You couldn't trust the DOD. They're going to lie to you. Presidents lie to you.
Do you think the populace believe that? That's just like I remember Mr. Francella when Kennedy was running. Oh, he's such a wonderful man.
Sure.
Oh, really? You want to know the truth?
I'm going to see if I can get this guy on the show. He wrote a book called Sons and Brothers about Jack and Bobby Kennedy. It's a whole different approach to Jack and Bobby. But the point is, I can give you the bad side of it. Anybody, sports figures, politicians, religious leaders. There's a good side. There's talk show hosts. There's a good side and there's a bad side. But
there's also evil.
I don't know if evil exists any more than, like I said, think about this for a second. The people in Germany that were eradicating a whole culture of people, they believed they were doing the right thing. That's the part that's hard to get your arms around.
Well, they got sucked up in it because life is so bad.
No. See, now you're explaining what people call evil.
Well,
no.
Hell. When we have a little more time, we'll chat about that because that.
No, but you just told me that these people were to be excused because they got sucked up.
I didn't say they could be excused.
All right, then why did anybody say that? I got 30 seconds. Why did they do what they did if it wasn't they knew it was evil? Because they thought it was good. That's the part.
Because they had such an onerous.
You're explaining them away. Were they good or evil?
On their life.
Don, I got to jump. It's evil. Hang on.
At this hour, I'm Christina Awayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories.
In an apparent vendetta against Elon Musk, Cybertrucks are being vandalized across the nation. Owners of the trucks are saying they're being targeted by complete strangers. Some even say they're being flipped off in traffic. Recently, dozens of Cybertrucks sitting in a parking lot in Florida were spray painted with vulgar terms directed at Musk. Some of the vandals even recorded themselves spray painting the vehicles. Some Cybertruck owners say people are finding out who they are, then calling them and telling them to go kill themselves. These aren't the only incidents with the futuristic truck, as protesters stormed a Tesla dealership in New York City, and a Tesla dealership in Oregon was set on fire, damaging vehicles, then weeks later had gunshots fired through the windows on the showroom floor. This comes after an incident in Las Vegas where a soldier exploded a Tesla Cybertruck outside of the Trump Hotel. President Donald Trump has signed an executive order that will stop all federal tax dollars from being spent on benefits for illegal migrants, saying that the money should be used to benefit American citizens who are truly in need, including people with disabilities and veterans. A White House fact sheet states that illegal migrants are banned from welfare programs. Each illegal that crosses the border costs American taxpayers $130,000. In addition, funding to sanctuary cities will also be cut off.
That's what you need to know at this hour. In Dallas, Christina Awayo, Salem News Channel.
There's a song. Huh? Roger Miller. Ain't got no sugar jets. 710 KNUS Saturday morning. I'm Peter Boyles. Thanks for being here. 710 weather center weather. Spit it out, Peter. 53 the high today, 60 tomorrow, 60, 65 on Monday, Tuesday 64. 303-696-1971. Once again, it's one of those now it's an open lines moment. If you were calling the show and you're on hold, people are on hold, we take a break, they take a break. Come back on. You can get right on the air, 303-696-1971. Coming up in the studio, a young Palestinian man who's lost his leg in Gaza. There's some folks with him. And then Rich Wyatt at noon. And that'll cause everybody's consternation as well as it already has. The ski resorts are experiencing better snow conditions, making what a ton of snow. Greatest time ever. Consider taking your skis or your boards in for a tune, maybe getting good new gear. If you did not, once again, back to holidays or Valentine, you didn't get what you wanted. And you know what you need? The best winter sports equipment. Head over for Larson Ski and Sport, south of I-70 on Kipling. If you're looking to rent or buy equipment, Larson's has you covered. They're dedicated to providing you with the best skiing experience possible. And you find them a large wooden building right next, and you come out. Well, the best thing to do, here we are. We're going westbound on I-70. Here comes the Kipling exit. It's to the right. Get off on the ramp, come all the way down to the light, then make a left, go south, back underneath I-70. You come out on the other side, look to your right. You see the big wooden big box store. That is Larson Ski and Sport. 7 days a week. The convenience of Larson's is unbeatable. It's a perfect stop on your way up or way down the mountain. The convenience of Larson's is the best. John Marriott, Jack, all the guys, men and women who work there. You find a large wooden building next to, again, there's a empty building here in the south of I-70 on Kipling, Larson Ski and Sport. John and the guys at Larson's are the absolute experts in everything you need for winter sports. Stop in today. Tell them I sent you. Larson Ski and Sport. Helmets, they're good. A lot of, springtime skiing stuff is coming. I'm looking forward to be back on the mountain myself in March. And as I was saying earlier, I had heart surgery, and I was off the skis, and now I am ready to go. So I think in March I can spring ski. So, and John and the guys at Larson's are underwriting me as well, as always, the experts in everything you need for winter sports. Stop in today and tell them I sent you. Larson Ski and Sport, south by 70 on Kipling. Remember, with your kids and grandkids, rent. 303-423-0654, 303-423-0654, Larson, Larson, sport.com. All right, here we go. We'll start again. This is Steve. Hey, Steve, you're on the radio show. Good morning. Thank you.
Well, Peter, so glad you're back. I hope you're healthy. I was going to send you a little present, but here you are live, so good for you.
Well, thank you.
And so now on the topics. What were your thoughts about Trump's comments about Putin and who started the war, and Zelensky and all of that?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too, because wars start, if you read particularly historians that deal with that, there's enough blame it's always called as enough blame to go around. But I don't think, I'm not sure that that holds up in this. Your thoughts? What do you think?
Well, I think he was off. I mean, he's just breaking furniture all over the place. So I don't understand this whole. I think it's one thing to try to resolve the conflict, keep Americans out of there, keep the troops off the ground.
But was Biden doing that?
No, Biden was not.
I agree.
Biden was escalating.
Yes, he was.
So I think it needs to be stopped. But I think Putin's a bad guy with bad intentions.
But again, not everybody that leads or has led our country, or in fact parts of the world, not everybody's a good guy. And
no,
and Putin, it was interesting because Putin critiqued Ukraine for not holding elections, or I forget who it was that heavily critiqued him. When's the last time Vladimir Putin held an election?
Well, he holds one all the time. I mean, look at Navalny. I mean,
No, but my point is, they look. The Russian people seem to like Putin.
Yes, they do.
And but there's no tradition there of having. After the Romanovs comes Joseph Stalin or Lenin, and in many ways far more autocratic than the Romanovs. And even now, the Russian people, quote, it's like in the Middle East. When's the last time the Saudi royal family held an election, or the Kuwaitis or anybody? They don't do it, and everybody's satisfied with that, how that works. Not everybody, but most people accept the fact that, it's a religious state, and the church supports the royal family. It's an age-old story. It's French, it's Russian, it's English, it's Italian. The church supports the leader supports the church. And they stay in power.
Let me ask you.
Sure.
Let me ask you another quick one.
Sure.
The stock market's had a tough week. Where do you see this economy going?
I think there's going to be a rough patch ahead. But what's being done right now, this firing these federal workers and these independent agencies, and it had to be done. If we'd have continued in the Biden tax and spend Democratic Party mythology, Steve, we're going over the edge. This whole thing, and it may still explode or implode. Nothing's etched in stone. There's nothing that
need to look at the Pentagon. You need to look at the Pentagon. You know that's a cash cow.
Well, yeah, but also it was a cash cow for the prime defense contractors in Ukraine. But
it always has been. It always has been. That is the biggest thing going. It's perpetual.
Sure.
It's never been examined in the public eye.
It is the military industrial complex.
Exactly.
And as long as they have willing participants, and they have people that this book called Sons and Brothers about the Kennedys, and what percentage of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, as well as political leaders, wanted to go to war with Castro when they discovered that the missiles were there. And so Jack Kennedy, I didn't know this, before he went on television in October of '62, he met with congressional leaders, senators and congressional leaders, to tell them what his plan was and that the missiles were there. And overwhelmingly, they wanted Jack Kennedy to go to war right then and there with Cuba. And of course, the JCS was chomping at the bit to go to war with Cuba, go to war with Russia. And so, that really is the complex in action, without realizing if this starts, it ain't going to finish. It's not going to end. And I really do believe that the people who I think are running this country, that oftentimes you don't know their names or you never voted for them, and they're the power brokers. I don't know what do they want out of the Ukraine? Trump? I don't know what they're.
You have a totally different. It's not the days of Averill Harriman and the wise men and all this.
No,
it's not that. This is a whole new caliber. You have a whole new the technology sector, and you're talking the top of the top of the top. And for example, Peter Thiel has been basically sponsored J.D. Vance's career. This level of people, that they're doing things and they're thinking things and they've got things on their mind and agendas that layman, the average person, has no idea about.
I agree.
You may have a steel company in the old days, or automobiles. This is a different kettle of fish.
These when most, like I say, what men are concerned about the Denver Broncos. They're not concerned about the Broncos. I always say that was the biggest thing on everybody's plate was, could the Broncos make the playoffs? These guys, they may talk about it at a lunch break, but that's it. They don't give a flying about your Denver Broncos or anybody else's.
No, they're running the world.
They're running the world.
Look how fast.
Hang on. I'll bring it back. Hang on a second. All right. 303-696-1971. Coming up in studio, Palestinians will be with us, and then Rich Wyatt. I'm Peter Boyles, 710 KNUS. Stay right here, right back. Good morning, everyone. 710 KUS. I'm your Boyles, back after a little time off. Thank you for being here. Phone number is 303-696-1971. 710 KUS Weather Center weather. 53 the high today, 60 degrees Sunday, and Monday 65 degrees. Coming up at high noon in the studio will be Rich Wyatt. And also now, please say good morning and welcome in the studio. We haven't had much of a chance. We all know Dr. Reema Wahdan, who has been with us many times talking about Palestinian issues and what's taking place. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you guys.
Would you introduce this young man who's with you?
Yeah, definitely. We have
And mortgage
Abdalaziz.
rates.
Something's on.
Deterring
Something's
many-
on. We have a spot. Okay, thanks. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. We have Abdalaziz, who has traveled from Gaza. He lost his leg last May, and so he's coming for treatment in Colorado Springs area.
He was 17.
17.
How old was he when he was wounded?
It was last May. So
Last
he
May.
was 17 then.
What was his life like? What did he do? Talk about his folks, just in general.
Yeah, he has a family of 10. He is one of the last of the two of his of his siblings. Last May, he was going to get some wood to come to help the family cook their meals because they're all like camp style cooking there. And as they went, he went with two cousins and his brother to go collect the firewood, and a rocket came down and he lost his left leg, and he also subsequently lost two of his cousins.
There must be how many young men and women like Abdalaziz in Gaza right now?
Yeah, too many. 27,000 that are dead, and about 50 injured. We have the highest number of childhood amputees in the world. 22,000 kids are looking for artificial limbs and legs, and he is one of them.
Since we've talked, the ceasefire has come into being. What do you think? What do you make? What do you think will happen?
I mean, I pray that this is a start to allow these Palestinians to come to normalcy. Normalcy looks like just providing food and shelter and getting fresh water for their families, giving them a chance to breathe. It's been too long.
But what about the people that I listen to that say things like they'd kill every Palestinian in front of them if they could?
They're non-political, many of them. Abdalaziz's family is non-political. They just were working and were...
What did his mom and dad do or did? You can say it in a microphone.
أبوك وأمك شو بقوا يسووا قبل الحرب؟
ولا حاجة كانوا قاعدين ما بيشتغلوش.
Yeah, I think they were still impacted by the siege in Gaza, so they weren't working, and they relied on humanitarian aid.
Yeah, what was it like? What was a day like prior to his wounding? But what was their life like?
كيف الوضع لأهلك قبل الحرب؟
كان قبل الحرب صعب برضك بس الحمد لله كنا مستورين والحمد لله كان ماشي حالنا.
You know, they're very simple people. He said before the war, they just needed simple needs, food and water, and they lived a content life. Kids went to school and they come home to a meal. It was a very simple love. No luxuries, no vacations, nothing. Very simple.
We tell him I'm not an expert, but I've been in Gaza City, so I don't know where.
هو بكى في غزة.
Once, but where did he live?
شو المنطقة أنت ساكنين؟
الوسط النصيرات.
النصيرات is a city. It's right in the middle of, like in the middle of Gaza. Yeah.
And that just the war starts. October happens, and then September, and then when did the Israelis show up?
بعد الحرب لما أول يوم وقتاش أنتوا شفتوا الجيش؟
من تاني يوم شفنا الجيش خشوا ضلهم يخربوا.
So literally second day. So October 7th, 8th is when they started being surrounded.
Who does he blame?
الحكي على مين؟
والله ما بعرفش أنا في السياسة ولا حاجة.
I mean, he says I'm not involved in any political, so I can't even say.
But you would have to hear his life has changed, and He's here for medical treatment. He's the first child from Gaza to be brought to Colorado, my understanding.
Second one. Yeah.
Second one, okay. And his life is now never going to be never going to be close to what it once was. He's lost cousins. How many family members has he lost since this began?
Immediate. It was like 5.
Wow. And family is everything. Families, I mean, we can't think in terms of family here to family there. But so what's his future? What happens to him? I can see he is the stranger in the strange land. There's no question. He really is. But now what? Now what do you do?
شو بدك تسوي بعد؟
بعد ايش؟
لما تسوي هسه.
ان شاء الله جاي اتعالج انا اركب طرف وان شاء الله هيك ربنا يكرمني بعدين اصير امشي بعدين اصير اشتغل ان شاء الله وابني لي دار واسكن اهلي فيهم واقعد مثلا افتح لي شغله عشان مش هقدر امشي مثلا اشي وانا قاعد اشتغل فيه زي هيك.
I mean, he's very simple. He says he wants to get his leg so he can walk.
Sure.
And from there, he wants to be able to get himself educated enough to be able to provide for his family and rebuild their home so that they can, relax in a sheltered way and just live a simple life.
Have they ever had that?
No. بكوا عايشين في دار كاملة.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before the war, they had a 2-story apartment and a makeshift kind of backyard. And they were living, but now the walls have been decimated. So they're living in a half opened kind of shelter unit.
When will he go back?
وقتاش رح ترجع؟
مش عارف والله لسه تسعيد بس ربنا يكرمني لانه الحين اذا رجعت فيش ولا شغله ولا دار ولا حاجه هقعد جنب اخواني.
Yeah, he doesn't know the immediate future. It's going to take him a while to get physical therapy to walk and to get that treatment.
How did he get out and who took him out? I know it's called Heal Palestine is the organization, but what was his way of transport out of all of that?
Yeah, Heal Palestine helps facilitate with the Red Crescent and the Red Cross, and he was able to get out into Egypt. He got physical therapy in Egypt, and they restored
it's okay.
his leg to make sure that it's no infection and prepped him before he came to the United States. So that's it's usually depending on those NGOs that go into the area to provide that transportation and also in consultation with the Israeli.
I was going to say there had to be cooperation too.
Absolutely. And then HEAL, as well as other organizations, are non-political, non-religious organizations. They have no part of any political strife. They really are out there just to help these kids. And we're really thankful for the doctors in the United States and all across the world that are in that same spirit, that they don't want to be political. They don't want a religious affiliation. They're just there to help the kids.
So when's the last time you talked to his parents?
وقتاش حكيت مع أهلك؟
يعني كل 3 أيام 4 أيام قبل ما يجي عندهم النت.
So every 2 to 3 days, it's all dependent on the internet capacity.
So he gets to talk.
Yeah, حكيت مع أهلك.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are they doing?
كيف أهلك؟
الحمد لله عايشين.
عايشين؟ أي شيء تاني؟
كيف يعني؟
كيفهن؟
وضعهم صعب جدا وفيش كمان ولا دراسة ولا جوامع ولا حاجة ولا طعام خفيف وفيش بيوت ولا حاجة يعني الوضع صعب جدا.
So he says the situation for his family is really on a critical situation. There's no food, there's no schools, there's no colleges open. So everybody's just literally standing still, very difficult situation. And he just wishes the best for them because they don't know day to day what's going to happen and if there's going to be enough food to even feed the whole family.
He's really, I can tell he's not a political guy. No, he's a 17-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Does he think that he'll be able to raise his family in an environment that there is not a war going on or a war brewing or a war that just got over? Or, I mean, how many times they've been through this cycle since, forever. Yeah. So what does he think of that?
أنت كيف تحس أن يعني لما غزة ترجع عشان في حرب وحرب وحرب وشو راح يكون ولا راح تضلها هيك؟
حنضلها هيك، احنا طول حياتنا حروب.
I mean, he's basically saying that he knows nothing except war. He was born into a war, and he doesn't know anything outside of that war, but he hopes that it will change.
We can open the phones, 303-696-1971. If you're just joining us, good morning. This young man is Palestinian. His name is Abdalaziz. He's arrived here in Denver, and he is beginning medical treatment. And the organization is called Heal Palestine. And of course, you know Dr. Reema Wahdan. She's been with us numbers of times. And how many kids are here now from Gaza?
I mean, in the United States, Heal has 24.
Okay.
In Colorado, Abdalaziz is our second one that's come in.
Are most of the kids injured like he's been injured?
Yeah, some are even more critical than him, but most of them are coming for prosthetics, and we're really appreciative of the doctors and in organizations like the Shriners adopted some people, so it's really appreciative for them.
How long will he stay?
Several months.
Okay.
He'll be here till at least May, June, depending on his physical therapy, and his amputation's a little bit more complicated because it's above the knee.
I could see it, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's going to require a lot more physical therapy than if it was below the knee.
What does he want to do? What
should look at?
Yeah, what do you want to do? I mean, I by the way, I didn't know when I was 17. I had no idea. So you can say that.
شو نفسك؟
يعني عادي نفسي أصير أمشي إن شاء الله ربنا يكرمني، مثلا ألم أهل في بيت لأنه فيش بيت وقاعدين مطر ومية وبصريش، نفسي أعمل لهم بيت ولمهم كلهيتهم وأفتح لي شغلة وأنا قاعد أشتغل فيها لمستقبلي.
His goal is really just to provide shelter for his like first goal is to walk. Second goal is to do everything in his capacity to build a home for his family. They are living in a tent with water and mud and just unsanitary conditions. And his goal is just to provide that shelter for them and maybe, if God willing, open some type of like small business.
303-696-1971. He's sitting here. This kid is a wounded Palestinian. What do you say? And he's not a real sophisticated kid. This kid got blown up. So what do you tell him? What do you say? We've had some off and on conversations about this, and Reema's been here before in these conversations. Do you expect any kind of a good outcome? Trump's now president. Biden was impossible because he was like dealing with jello. He wasn't there. Donald Trump, at least I think, has a sense of it. I don't know what side you put Donald Trump on. He came up with the hotels again. Mm-hmm. That why won't that fly? I mean, I think I know, but I seem to ask you.
Ethnic cleansing and disposition of land is not going to fly with any. I mean, internationals have already said it, but where we're looking toward Trump is to come to provide that sensible reaction so that people can live in peace. That is what the people want. A hotel plaza is not what the people are asking for, and the right to return to their land is of immediate need.
Go back to Israel.
To go back to Gaza, to go back, in the West Bank too. We see the same things happening there, where people are forcibly removed from their houses.
West Bank's getting smaller.
Yeah. And so they're basically asking just the right to return, just like any other refugee, and to be able to just have a minute without that war component. And so that we can really work with leadership from both sides that are committed to peace. And that's like the goal for both sides.
Maybe there are parts of the world that will never know peace. I mean, it's especially in the Middle East, but that was true in so many different places in the world. And I don't know, there's plenty of them left, but why can't there be peace?
No, I think that there can be peace. It's just that the leadership, that people that are allowed to come and have a seat at the table are not allowed to do that. And the Palestinians have been always forcibly pushed off and not allowed to come to have a seat. And to have these other organizations speak on behalf of the Palestinians is not okay. The Palestinians want the opportunity to live, to provide for their families, and basic human rights, basic human needs. That's all they're asking for. Nothing more, nothing less.
Why won't that come?
I think there's obstacles of pushing. Like aid has been, it's turned on and turned off. The shelter, nobody is allowed to rebuild. You can't have everybody has makeshift tents, and even the makeshift tents are even denied sometimes to allow it to go into Gaza. So, the basic of all human rights is allowed for the Palestinians, and it must be on the forefront. We should not deny human rights to any individual in the world, and especially not the people in Gaza.
The Palestinians, Isaac Deutscher, the great historian Isaac Deutscher, himself Jewish, said that the Palestinians were the Jews' Jew. And he wrote The Myth of the Burning Building and all of those wonderful symbols of how this works. And he said that the Jews played the role that the Palestinians played the role in the Middle East that the Jews played in Europe before the Shoah. They were the intelligentsia, the physicians, the teachers, the lawyers, the philosophers, the business people. That in the Middle East, Palestinians, that the diaspora, the Palestinians played that role.
Yeah.
Does that hold up?
I think the Palestinians intimately knew what happened during the Holocaust, and that's why they opened their borders to allow the mass exodus into Palestine. And so Palestinians understand the ability to, when someone's trying to exile others. And so I feel like there should be that same type of reciprocal reaction in Israel, where they should understand that there is no forced denial of existence. People keep on using that sounding board of denying the other, the existence, really need to be pushed off to the side, because that's not getting at the core of bringing people together, forcing us to come to a common place of really supporting the existence of both the Israelis and Palestinians in the area, and allowing us to build on this notion of peace, which everybody thinks is so far-fetched, but a lot of us Palestinians still have hope for that ideology.
What would it look like?
Where Palestinians and Israelis are both working together, where they're in, and those NGOs are there and operating. Hospitals open their borders to Palestinians to come get treatment. The same thing on the opposite. So it looks like an opportunity where the nationality is not on the forefront, but the human kindness, the human identity is on the forefront, where we look at each other as human people and want to help support the existence of both. And those who don't need to be kind of, they shouldn't be leading.
But those are the voices that people hear.
Those are the voices that people hear. And I think they're doing a mass injustice for the community there, for both the Israeli side and Palestinian side. And so if we can get to a place where the ability to be centering human voice on human rights.
About 30 seconds.
All right, I'm going to do a quick turnaround. We'll start. All right, 303-696-1971. This young man's here, horribly wounded in Gaza. He's in the U.S. in the hospital here. Reema Wahdan is with us as well. So I can read you some people's text messaging when we come back. But 303-696-1971 on a Saturday. Your turn. Stay right here.
At this hour, I'm Christina Awayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories.
President Donald Trump has said that he wants to abolish the IRS and replace the revenue with money the country will earn from tariffs, something the National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett confirmed is the plan moving forward.
The China tariff revenue that we're estimating is coming in from the 10% that we just added, plus the de minimis thing, that it's between $500 billion and $1 trillion over 10 years is our estimate. And that's something that is outside of the reductions that markets are seeing through the negotiations up on the Hill. And so we expect that the tariff revenue is actually going to make it much easier for Republicans to pass a bill, and that was the president's plan all along.
Kentucky Republicans are considering the race for the U.S. Senate seat after Mitch McConnell announced that he's retiring. McConnell is ending a decades-long tenure as a senator who opposed many measures backed by his conservative colleagues and more recently voted against 3 of President Trump's cabinet nominees in Tulsi Gabbard, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and Pete Hegseth. McConnell chose his 83rd birthday to announce his retirement when his current term ends in 2027. The decision comes after McConnell experienced numerous health situations, including freezing for minutes at a time during press conferences.
That's what you need to know at this hour. In Dallas, Christina Wyatt, Salem News Channel.
front burner issue in the world, Palestinians. Good morning, everyone. It is a Saturday, February 23rd, 2025. I'm Peter Boyles, and thanking John Caldera for helping me out and filled in for John this morning. 53 will be the high today, 60 on Sunday, and Monday it'll be 65 degrees. In our studio, on and off the air, we're talking about, again, on one of the front burner issues that's been a front burner. Well, the Middle East has always been there, and as people way smarter than me point out, that if there wasn't any petroleum there, they would wonder how much attention would be paid. Dr. Reema Wahdan is with us, and this young man, 17, was severely injured in a bombing in Gaza in April 24, which resulted in the loss of his left leg due to the above-the-knee amputation, and he's here in Denver as well. Let me read you just a couple of these notes. Hamas's goal is to exterminate the Jews. Well, then what does that have to do with this young man, right? And this is from Eric. Why doesn't the good pimp doctor take his or in her story to the Hamas government? That was aimed at you from a brilliant texter.
Yeah. I've never been called a pimp, but it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So why don't you do that?
I think our communications are non-political, so we work with non-profit organizations in the area. So we have no communication with, political entities. We do work with the Ministry of Health to try to get the access to kids and provide them medical treatment, but that's the extent that it goes.
Is he a victim of Hamas?
They've been in a war, so I'm not gonna blame one or the other. But at the end of the day, it's got to stop. I don't care who's the instigator, and I'm not going to chicken and egg the scenario. But the scenario is this kid has been brought into a conflict. there's sieges around the area all his life. He doesn't know nothing except this environment, which it's not okay, because now he's interacting with kids in the US that have a completely different outlook. And for him to be like, just to have the opportunity to, yesterday we celebrated your birthday, to be sitting around with a whole bunch of guys playing pool and have no worry or, looking over your shoulder scenario.
What must that be like?
Right?
To grow up like that.
The privilege, right? Just the humanity of even to see him not in a sense of like fear.
But there's parts of the world where it's daily life. And we were talking about it off air, is that I guess everybody thinks one thing, but that certainly isn't the truth, is it?
No.
But look at Ireland, all these parts of the world where eventually they got rid of. South Africa, I think, is a good example to look at.
Once we dismantle apartheid and segregation.
Is it apartheid?
Absolutely. Yeah. He had to travel on a different road. The way that we
say that again.
So Palestinians and Israelis cannot be traveling on the same road. We have different
I didn't know that.
license plates. We have different roads that we have access to. We have different areas that we can visit. I, as a U.S. citizen, can go to Jerusalem. My husband cannot. So all those little.
Why can you go and he can't go?
He can now, but when we were over there, he was a green card holder, and until you're a U.S. citizen, you cannot go. But my cousins don't have access, and they live there all their life. They live there, so that duplicitous.
They're not allowed.
They're not allowed. So
because they're Palestinian.
Right. And they have the Palestinian identity card. And so I have an American passport. I can go, and I'm coming from outside. But they who live there, who have been living there for decades, they don't have access to the same rights that I have.
Because he's considered non-trustworthy or untrustworthy?
I don't know. And he lives in Gaza, and he's never been to the West Bank. He's not allowed to leave. He has no idea. And I showed him pictures of our city. And so for him to be like, well, look at your area, how it's well built and this, that, and our area has been denied access to even building.
What's he think of the U.S. now that he's gotten here?
كيف حسيت بأمريكا؟
انبسطت عشان جاي اتعالج وان شاء الله هرجع امشي وشكرا للدكاترة.
He sees a world that he's very thankful for the environment. He's thankful for the Coloradan support. He's thankful for the American doctors that even put their leaned in just to help him. He's like a person who's just appreciative of the littlest things, honestly.
I've been reading and been visiting and been listening for all these years.
Yeah.
I've never had anybody sit in that seat and tell me this is the way out.
Yeah.
Israeli or Palestinian or fill in the blank, they can't give you a solve. And if you look historically at parts of the world where this was solved, it was only solved with violence. That's horrible to say, but it was only solved with violence, people being violent. And I don't care if it's Ireland or South Africa or Kenya or Egypt for that matter, or, Pakistan, Bangladesh, India.
Yeah.
The list goes on.
But it's like the shroud of the violence.
Oh, absolutely.
Once the evil shroud comes down, people really understand what's really at the heart of it. It's no longer a complicated matter. Everybody used to be like, Palestine, Israel, complicated. It's not complicated. Apartheid is not okay. Ethnic cleansing is not okay. Segregation is not okay. Dispossession of indigenous people's land is not okay. Those are very simple things. And you know what? I'm very thankful of the young generation because they see it. They understand it, and they get those concepts. It's no longer an obscure concept of reality. People are genuinely there to support the humankind. And those are the people that I stand in support and solidarity with, where we can see each other as humans, forget the titles, but humans are allowed to live and allowed to live in peace and dignity. And that's, I believe the people in Palestine and the Israelis too, deserve that peace, that ability to live in peaceful harmony. But when you're going to talk about homogenous Israeli state, that is not a safe situation. That is not safe for them. It's not going to be safe for the people that live there. And so we really have to, like, put more onus on that peaceful prospect.
Well, if Israel is a religious state, in the aftermath of what happened, the Shoah, and if it's a religious state, if you read their opinion pieces, the Israelis, they'll say, we can't afford to allow non-Jews to become full citizens and because of the birth rate. 2 generations from now, we won't be a Jewish state. What do you say to that critique?
I really think that's nonsensical, because it's, we're going to keep on saying, like, if the Palestinians, Christians or Palestinian Muslims say the same thing, they're like, you're trying to eradicate the other. And so those arguments really just talk about the eradication of the other, and that's not okay.
That's what I've read that to be the position. I think it's Netanyahu's position.
Yeah, and his position's completely wrong. And the international community has noted it. He is a war criminal. I'm not here to say, but his actions really are not okay. They're not safe for the Israelis.
But Hamas, should they be tried?
They are being tried. There are, like, war criminals that are being tried.
I know there are, but I mean, because I'm not even clear. It's ever shifting in terms of leadership and where it is and who it is and those things. But if I don't think Netanyahu will ever stand trial, by the way.
Yeah.
So any more than George Bush stood trial.
Yeah.
But what I mean, what is the legitimate way out? And I think so many people get alienated by watching young Americans be pro-Palestinian. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you say to that?
I've never seen that in my entire life. To see these young people get it, and to stand in solidarity, like with my friends from Jews Voice for Peace. I really mean, what an outstanding organization, and kudos to them for, saying this is not in the name of our Jewish identity. And I really appreciate that, because Zionism is not Judaism. And Judaism is a beautiful religion. And I really thank my brothers and sisters from the Jews Voice for Peace for making sure that is clear, and that we do not look at each other other than a human person.
Herzl invents Zionism, or Zionism becomes a cause in Switzerland in the last century, century before. And they need a place to go. They've been through the Dreyfus trials. We've talked about, for instance, the protocols of the elders. We've talked about pogroms. We've talked about, how the Jews are treated in Europe. And this was before the Shoah. They need, and Theodor Herzl, actually they thought about a place in Africa for a while.
Uganda.
That's right, Uganda, So they were looking for a place to go. And Herzl has, I think, the first Zionist Congress in the end of the 19th century. And I think they were in Bern, Switzerland or something. And then the opportunity comes with Rothschild and
the JNF
and Balfour, absolutely. And these guys are smart enough to see it. And they take it, and they see themselves as not running away, but doing what he's doing right now, is getting away.
I mean, I feel like everybody, when I talk to him, he wants to go back.
Oh yeah.
His goal is to go back.
Sure.
And he won't like step for an opportunity to go anywhere else.
No, and I don't blame him.
Yeah. But it's the concepts of trying to force a homogenous and force everybody out. Those concepts have never standed in historical times. They've always been dismantled.
Yes.
So for those who keep on saying this is the right way, it is the wrong way. And history has shown that. And so we will always be standing true with those who have that same ideology of peaceful prosperity. South Africa has gotten it. The Berlin Wall will go down, just like the wall in the West Bank is going to go down.
The war in Bangladesh.
Yeah, so it's been proven. And at the end of the day, kids like Abdalaziz hopefully will never know the times that he's in now. His kids, I hope and I pray, that will never have that opportunity to understand where we are right now in time.
Boy, that's a big bite.
It's a big bite, but I mean, we have to be, in the face of a genocide, like we have to be like thinking about, and saying lessons that were learned from the Holocaust. we have to look at those times and go, that means never again for one identity, but everybody. Well, this is the history, and I appreciate my brothers and sisters that like teach us those ideologies and principles, that this was a bad time in history. And now to have arguments of, is this a genocide? Did we get to the numbers? That's not okay. That when you look at this kid and go, well, we didn't reach the ratio yet. No, this is not okay. That what's happening in Gaza is absolutely not okay. The international community has said it, and I support that. It is not okay that we have this ethnic cleansing, dispossession, and forcibly forcing 2 million people away from their homes. Like, it's not okay. I mean, the way that he describes his family, he has a 2-story home. All the women are allowed to sleep in this makeshift shelter, and all the men are sleeping in the streets. Yeah. That's not okay. He's 17 years old, a 17-year-old boy sleeping in the streets with his brother, who's like 8. Yeah. That is not okay to say that this is okay to allow this to happen.
All right, everybody, we're going to pause now. The phones are there. 303-696-1971. For all of you really brilliant texters this morning, you have a chance to talk to this woman or to this young man. You can do that. 303-696-1971 is the number. I'm having a appreciate. Okay. I don't know. This is the Ukraine is. I don't know if you can say easier. I think easier, if that's the right word, to try and solve that than to try and solve the problems you're talking about. All right, everybody. 303-696-1971. Sit still. Rich Wyatt will be with us this morning. The ski resorts are experiencing better snow conditions. Perfect time to consider making, and again, taking your skis and snowboards for the final tune for spring skiing. Winter sports equipment, and if you want some like powder jackets, stuff like that, Larson Ski and Sport, located south of I-70 on Kipling. I say lighter clothing for, we're going into the warm times now. Hopefully I can get back on the boards in March. So whether you're looking to rent or buy equipment, if you got kids or grandkids, for heaven's sakes, rent equipment for them. Their feet will be bigger. Larson's got you covered, dedicated to providing you with the best skiing experiences possible. The convenience of Larson's is unbeatable. Perfect stop on your way up, on the way down the mountain. So you're going westbound on I-70, the Kipling exit. You get off on the Kipling exit, go down the ramp, come to the light, make a left. There's a tunnel that goes under I-70. Go under I-70, come out on the other side, look to your right, and you'll see Larson Ski and Sport. Absolute experts at everything you need for winter sports. Stop in today and tell them I sent you. John Marriott, Jack Marriott, Paul, all the crew that works there. They know more about fitting boots and fitting skis and doing things right. The rentals are the best. John, the guys at Larson, 7 days a week. Absolute experts at everything you need for winter sports. Stop in today and tell them I sent you. Larson Ski and Sport, south of I-70 on Kipling, 303-423-0654, 303-423-0654. All right, our phone number, 303-696-1971. We have one line open. Rich Wyatt coming up. It's a Saturday, 710 KNUS. we go. 7:10 KNUS Saturday morning, 3rd of February, 25, 303, 696, 1971. We were talking about what takes place in the Middle East with the Palestinians. We start here, and I think it's Sarah. Sarah, you're on a radio show in studios, Dr. Reema Wahdan, and a young 17-year-old Palestinian man that they've brought here. He's lost his leg in Gaza. So, Sarah, you're up and it's yours. Thank you.
Question. Usually governments run the people supposedly vote for the government at hand. So now how are the Palestinians going to recreate a government that will rule favorably and not have another October 7th?
Yeah, good question. I think we're working with people from the United Nations.
No, but the people, your Palestinian people, the people that have been trying to rule themselves since, let's say, the Gaza was given up to the Palestinian people in 2005 and such, and they have been ruled by a government. Now, is that government dissolved? Is that government going to be voted in, reconstituted, if you will? Because it's government that talks to government to have problems resolved.
So, and that's the question that the Palestinians are literally sitting down at the table, because now the Palestinian Authority has now kind of makeshift themselves into the Gaza territory, and those are the conversations that they're having.
So what would be the name of the government? Is Hamas gone?
It's not ruling Gaza right now.
But is it gone? I know today it's not ruling. Will it rule in a month, 2 months, 3 months?
And that is like you have to talk to the Gazan citizens.
Okay, so that is really the crux of everything.
It's not.
And if you can get to the crux.
Sure.
Like putting out a Bunsen burner.
It's just like us asking an American.
Hold on, caller.
Asking the Americans, do we know who's going to be the president in 6 years? We don't know.
But
we have things we have things in place to allow the conversations to happen and to have the elections. And the elections have not taken place since 2005. No. So that's like the opportunity that the citizens want. And I'm going to tell you, Sarah, the people like Abdalaziz, now he can vote. And they are non-political. So we are working with them.
You have to be political in order to know who's running and who you can vote for.
Absolutely. And so that's where we have to have those conversations, to have
with
those
who?
Elected officials with the people on the ground, the citizens that live there,
people?
The Palestinians that live in Gaza.
Right.
So we have to have them identify a candidate. The candidate has to be vetted. And then it goes to the entire region because we're talking about both the Palestinian in the West Bank and in Gaza to be able to identify those candidates. Those steps have been blocked even to today.
By whom?
The United States and Israel.
You mean Hamas wasn't voted in 2007?
We're talking about now, right? We're not talking about in 2005. Today.
But today it doesn't just happen last night when you went to sleep and you woke up.
So that's what those are the conversations.
Sure.
Hold on, ma'am.
So the conversations that the people want is to have the opportunity to identify those candidates.
Who's stopping them now? You're saying Israel and the United States is stopping them from an internal
Ma'am, hang on. You'll get an answer, please.
We work with the United Nations. We have Riyad Mansour, who's the UN representative at the UN. We have a delegate of lawyers. There's a delegation of nonprofit organizations. There's a delegation from the Palestinian Authority, all collectively working to identify candidates that can bring and restore order to this dismantled, fragmented region. And so the people on the ground want the opportunity to identify their candidate. And then you can criticize. Criticize who they identify.
Okay. Well, no, it's not up for us to criticize. It's for the Palestinian people.
No. You can criticize, ma'am. You can criticize.
Yeah.
Well, sure, we all do.
That's right.
I mean, that's not the issue. But do you have anybody in the wings that is waiting to become a leader?
There are many of them that have been identified.
Oh, good. Then
why don't you wait? Can you wait for an answer?
Sure.
Then do so.
Yeah. So I mean, and those are the prospects. And honestly, they're working for a vision of collective unity and have to work across the aisles, like we say here, but literally across, and be able to work favorably with Israel, with the Palestinians in the region, and to be able to restore order. That's number one and priority for any candidate that's identified. But if we keep on thinking and believing that the candidates are going to be identified or with this party or with that party, we only cause hindrance and blockades and impediments to not allow Palestinians to identify their candidates. And so, just as you would say your criticism and saying what they're going to do, they're going to identify this candidate and that, whoever they elect is their right as a Palestinian government, but collectively. And what I'm going to say is, like, the Palestinian community collectively wants to see restoration of the area, wants to bring back peace and security for them, because that has not been granted to the Palestinians. When you have demolition of 90% of the area, that is not okay. When we have dispossession of the land, that is not okay. When you have ethnic cleansing of forced displacement of 2 million Palestinians from the region, that is not okay. So if we want to be accountable, we have to allow the restoration of the Palestinians to stand in their land, to be able to govern themselves. And that has not been provided by, and that's namely because of United States and Israeli interference. So
what about Jordan and Egypt?
Jordan and Egypt do not want any Palestinians in their area, and they're asking because the Palestinians don't want to go there. They're allowing the Palestinians to rule themselves, to govern themselves, to be allowed
but they
to
won't
live.
accept. Let me have a word in edgewise, please. So for the quote displaced situation right now, which after World War II everybody was displaced also, there were countries, not just two, America and Israel, but there were countries that allowed them to resettle. It wasn't hard. It wasn't easy. Now, Jordan isn't, Lebanon isn't, Egypt isn't. What other neighboring countries are not allowing?
Hold on a second. Ma'am, it's Peter. It's
Peter.
Peter. Well, you said that allowed them to resettle. Tell me what that means.
Right. Well, you mean the Palestinians or
I don't know. You're the one that said it. You're
the European? Both.
Yeah, you're the one.
I'll do both then, because history is still today.
Well, I understand that, but in the aftermath of the Shoah, there was a huge movement not to allow. As a matter of fact, under the Truman administration, to turn back ships.
Roosevelt did that. Yes, I know.
No, Truman did it. And he did it as well after the war.
Harry Truman allowed me and my family to come in 1950.
I understand it, but
whatever. That's why we love Harry Truman.
I understand. I'm a Harry Truman fan as well. But Harry Truman wasn't president.
Right.
And when
he turned back the ship, Roosevelt did that.
Roosevelt did it. It was called The Ship of Fools.
Correct.
Catherine Ann Porter's book about that ship. But that ship, I think, had to go back. I think it went to Frankfurt or wherever it went.
I know, and they were destroyed. I know.
Disappeared, yeah. And so, but this was the ship. The Zionists themselves did not want refugee ships coming to the U.S. They wanted to force people into what was then Palestine.
Okay, so because my sister was born in a DP camp, but I wasn't. And all our relatives were destroyed. Like I said, history is today.
Oh, of course.
And so what I'm saying is that you need help from Jordan, you need help from Egypt, and I think they're trying to do that, and from Lebanon, and from Turkey. I mean, these people need help. I agree with that.
We have a minute left till we have to pause, but I don't, and your life experiences is amazing. And I couldn't for a second fathom it, but there's all these other people and all these levels. And I'm intrigued by what's happened and what's gone on. And I tell you, first of all,
I'm intrigued also, but I don't like the idea that the finger is pointed at one situation.
What I think,
and when you have the UN who did not help.
Well, the UN created the state initially. And
exactly.
Yeah.
I know.
But I'm just saying.
I know all that, but I'm saying let's talk for today.
Well, you want to do this?
And people need help.
What's our time? Can I put you on hold and give you a chance to finish out?
Oh, that's okay. If you have other people, then I'm waiting.
You're pretty powerful. Do you want a chance?
Sure.
All right, hang on. All right, we'll come back and wrap this up, and then we'll move into the next hour. And let me finish this up. 710 KNUS. I'm Peter Boyles. Good morning. And good morning, everyone. It is what hour is this? It's 11. So in the next hour with Wyatt's here. I'm Peter Boyles. This is 710 KNUS. Thank you for being here. Saturday, February 23rd, 2025. The weather's beauty. It says 53, much warmer. Tomorrow, 60 and 65 on Monday. Sitting in studio with us, and she's been with us numbers of times. She's Palestinian. She's a physician, Dr. Reema Wahdan. And they gave us a call. I was out. I went through a kind of a kickoff surgery, but that they had a young man here from Gaza, Abdalaziz, who is 17 years old and has lost his leg from the knee down. And we were in the middle of some really good calls. Our lines are jammed. We'll run out the calls, and these folks have some traveling as well. So let's finish it up with Sarah. Sarah, you got a call of the morning. I mean,
Okay.
No, you've been wonderful. So
That's good.
That's
So
good.
all I have to say is do not blame Israel. Are they perfect? No. Do not blame United States. Are they perfect?
Well.
No. Look at your own self and get a government that will allow the people
Let's
to
go
voice.
slow. It's always interesting as a reader of history, and this notion that the United States is either always good or always bad. It's just
Right.
it's just not true. And the idea the state of Israel is always good but never bad, that's not true either.
Right.
So this is and just as a reader, I said a little bit of a traveler and a long-time listener. This is
Vice versa.
Yeah, this is a problem.
That's why I listen to you. Go
You're
ahead.
You're kind. No, I mean your life story must be incredible, but
It is.
but this is something that is so generational and so linked to the next thing and so linked to the next thing. One of the things that I found in the Arab world as well as in the Israeli world is that people know their past. And in this country, if you walk down, why would you do it? Take your life in your own hands, but walk down the 17th Street Mall and point to someplace and ask somebody walking up the street, what is that? They don't know. What I found in old Soviet Union or Great Britain or France or anywhere, Ireland is really one of those places that they'll do it. They'll stop you and they'll tell you this was built and this was that and somebody died here and this guy died there. The Middle East, that's what it is. It's the
That's right.
it's I've been in the Middle East 7 times, and each time I come back, I was talking to Dr. Reema. You come back and you reset all the pieces on the chessboard again because what you once thought isn't true, and so there's a blind obedience sector of this, and for good reason. I mean, this stuff is everybody's protective. Sarah, I give you the last comment. You really do. You get call of the day. You tell me the way out because I don't know.
The way out, it takes years,
Yes.
but you have to look within yourself. You have to know what you can't be repeating the same thing over and over and over again and expect a different result.
True.
Start over, and try your best. And remember, the government works for the people.
Well,
And that's all I want to say.
But
And then let everybody else decide what they need to do.
you're kind.
Okay.
You take care of yourself. We'll meet
Thank you.
someday.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank
Bye
you, man.
now.
You too. You too. All right, we go to Larry. Larry, you're on a radio show. Folks in studio, good morning. Thank you very much. It's KNUS.
Hi, Peter. Thank you. I just have a number of disagreements with what your guest has been saying.
Help
When
yourself.
they talk about ethnic cleansing, you have to look at the population in Gaza. Instead of it being ethnic cleanse, their population has risen over the past number of years. So they are not being ethnically cleansed. Israel could ethnically cleanse them and just carpet bomb the whole place, but that's not what they do. So the ethnic cleansing statement is a lie. And if you want to talk about ethnic cleansing, look at what happened to the Jews in Iran, Iraq, Syria, Egypt, Morocco, Libya. There used to be thriving Jewish populations in those areas, but the Muslims have erased them. If you look at the Christians in Bethlehem, in Nazareth, in Egypt, and many other places, the Muslims have erased those populations or are working to erase those populations. So the lie of the Muslims in Gaza and the West Bank being ethnically cleansed is truly a lie.
Okay, let's stop there. Doctor?
So I would like also show you the map of Gaza. And if we're not saying ethnically cleansed, we have a forced displacement. And we're now sitting down with 80,000 deaths. This is actually an underestimation according to World Health Organizations and also New England Journal, who actually estimates the deaths in the Gaza region to be 180,000 because we have not done the counts for the people under the rubble. So if that's not ethnically cleansing, and the forced displacement and erasure of people from their lands is not in the component of ethnically cleansing, I would just redirect you to go back to the definition of ethnically cleansing populations from their homeland. We're talking about 2 million people that are not allowed to come back. And when they opened the borders and allowed Palestinians to walk back, and we're still missing 200,000 Gazans, and we don't know where they are. So ethnically cleansing is actually, according to international human rights organizations, UN organizations, even Beit Salem, which is like a human rights organization in Israel, they have all documented ethnic cleansing documentations in the region. So these are international supported documents. They've actually supported it with numerical, factual evidence, and we're even underestimating the death toll that is in Gaza. So I just point you to those references to put the notion of ethnic cleansing. When we go back to Sabra Shatila, that's when we noted the notion of ethnically cleansing people from their land, and those are refugees camps that forced burning of Palestinians from their land. So those are the documentations I would just like to point you to.
What I would argue with or add to the discussion is what is the aim of the Muslim in the West Bank and in Gaza, the Hamas, the Hezbollah in Lebanon? Their aim is to ethnically cleanse Israel of any Jewish population. That's why they say from the river to the sea. They want to ethnically cleanse that land that was given to Israel by the United Nations. And their stated goal is the elimination of the Jews and the takeover of that land. Now, many of those people may have been kicked out, their ancestors. A lot of them left voluntarily. My mother was living in Tel Aviv at the time when they would drive up and down the streets with megaphones telling the population to leave, because once the Arab armies had cleaned out the Jews from Israel, they would be able to return victoriously. So ethnic cleansing, although we can argue about whether or not it has happened, I don't believe it has. You've got statistics to say that it's in the process. We can disagree on that, but the stated aim of Hamas and Hezbollah and Iran is to ethnically cleanse the area of Jews, as they have done in the rest of the Middle East and North Africa.
And I bring you a perspective of the majority of Palestinians that are not associated to those organizations, that are larger in number, that say that's false, that we are here to work together in peaceful harmony with Israelis living in the area. And our voice is squandered. And if you guys keep giving the megaphone to the other organizations and saying that they have the popular vote when they don't, and you undermine those who want to work for peace, that therein lies the problem. And so here I talk, when we give Benjamin Netanyahu and the right wing Likud the microphone for all of Israelis to say that all of Israel believes the way that Benjamin Netanyahu, that is false. Because I know my friends, the Israelis that are living in Tel Aviv, that do not support Benjamin Netanyahu and the right-wing organizations that want to force displacement of Palestinians, who actually say that we want to mow the lawn. That is the terminology that they use in defining the Palestinians, that they want to mow the lawn and you want forcible, and they support the genocide that's going on today. Those are the megaphones that we want to dismantle. Dismantle means put in other people who are peaceful proponents of peace that want to work together. Because if we keep handing these two organizations all right from both sides, then who suffers? The average Israeli and Palestinian citizens. And that's why I bring Abdalaziz, because we are nonprofit, non-political, non-religious organizations that are really just trying to help the people on the ground. If it was an Israeli boy next to me, I would be standing here in solidarity with him because he needed help. But we cannot force or give the microphone to the opposite sides and say this is what they all believe and all Palestinians believe in this way, because that is false. And I'm standing here with a majority of Palestinians that say that we do not believe that this is that forced ethnic cleansing of the Jews is okay. It is not. And we do not stand in that realm, and we do not stand in the terminology or where Benjamin Netanyahu is saying it to our people. So I hope that would help solidify in a movement to collective center, because keeping people on opposite sides is not helping either side.
Ralph, it's Peter, man. Do you see, Larry? I'm sorry, apologize, Larry. Do you see a way for peace legitimately?
No.
Neither do I.
It's nice to have the rhetoric, and it's nice to have the discussions here in the United States, but on the ground there, the reality is there will never be peace.
Reema.
And I would argue that there's been people who've dismantled those moderate voices from the Palestinian. So it's not going to be, there's no peace in the region because the ones that advocate for peace are being pushed to the side.
There again. I think it was Isaac Deutscher or Taylor Roper, one of the brilliant thinkers of the last century, who said there are parts of the world, and it's so true. There is no tomorrow. It is simply yesterday repeating itself. And it took major things to get rid of the Brits, or major things to get rid of the French, major things to get rid of this or to get out of that, or to get rid of the kinds of people who have gained control in the Middle East. And it settles back into these folks want the leadership that they have. They really do. And nobody understood, for instance, how the Saudi royal family works. Well, the Saudi royal family works that way. Whether you like it or not, or what's taking place in Lebanon, I mean, it institutionalizes itself. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
To Larry?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And so when we come in from the outside, and as I was saying to the woman, I loved her call, that the United States is not the good guy in the world that we think we are. We have been the bad guy many, many, many times. And the people who say there's no such thing as a bad American foreign policy, the hell there isn't. We're just coming out of it now. The Bush Cheney.
Look at Iraq.
Sure.
Look at Iraq.
Sure. Nixon, Lyndon Johnson, you fill in, so we're not always seen as the great gift. And one of the things I'm watching now is if Donald Trump can pull back and get everybody out of all these different scenarios, let them filter it out. Let them figure it out. Somebody will, somebody can't. Men create problems, men can uncreate problems. But go ahead, take a last.
We in the United States have, one last comment. We in the United States have done good in the world. We've done more good than any other country. If we had not entered World War I or World War II, we would be in a much worse place. We ride on that laurel we have ridden on that laurel a long time, but we do need to reevaluate how we are interacting with the world at this time. And when we create voids, vacuums of power, we create more problems than the good we're doing.
I can get you a hell of a lot of historians, including Barbara Tuchman, that said we should have stayed out of World War I. And then World War I is the epicenter for what you and I and the doctor are talking about right now, and why this young boy doesn't have a leg. It's real interesting when you think of the nexus of history. I appreciate. Thank you so much. We're going to take one more call. This is Bill in Parker, Colorado. Our guest is Dr. Reema Wahdan, and a young man who lost his leg in Gaza. Hey, Bill, thanks, man. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Hi, Pete. Long time no talk. Hey, I had a question. I always wondered, do the people of today, do they ever regret that their grandfathers and great-grandfathers back in 1948, instead of saying, hey, we've got these people coming here, they can be our new neighbors and we can work together for a better, bigger society and move forward that way? Because everybody's always found that the Jews have always been very, very productive, very economically beneficial. But instead, they took the only option was, we're going to finish what Hitler started. Nothing else was even considered. Did they ever regret that they had that attitude?
For the Palestinians?
Yeah, today. Like, do they say, gee, I wish we had made different choices back in 1948?
And during the time of creation of the state, it was principally the Arab world. There is no Palestinian world. I mean, it's Palestinian. Palestine is a colony of Great Britain.
Well, the Israelis were Palestinians. The Jews were called Palestinians back then.
But Palestinians now it's really interesting. They choose their name from the Philistines, from the so the Israelis who are born in Russia. This guy's born in Russia, comes back and he says, I'm the Hebrew tribe. Well, he's allowed to be the Hebrew tribe, but this guy, I mean, it's so convoluted. There's a verbal part of this that's really, or a word use part of this, that she's not allowed to be a Palestinian, but this guy that was born 3 generations in New York is allowed to be an Israeli. No, I mean, the world either is or it isn't. And I watch this stuff.
My question is that they made choices in 1948 that they could have said, okay, we're going to welcome these newcomers and we're going to, live together and build a prosperous society. That was never discussed. It was, we're going to finish what Hitler stared.
I don't think they used those. I don't think they said.
No,
they were talking about Zionism. It's always interesting. We leave Nazis out of everything.
Yeah, even like the forced immigration of Jews into Palestine was like 1850.
Yeah.
So there was like, and there was welcoming of people. And I would tell you, my husband's city and my city, there's like Palestinians and Jews were living harmoniously and economically prospering from one another, trading and bartering. And so it wasn't until it was the notion of the eradication of the other, which is what caused this whole tension. And then people amping up and militarizing themselves, and then, going into wars with each other. And so, I mean, the world that we know that we want to get back to is that world where we were able to barter, to economically prosper from one another, and to be able to work in harmony with one another.
How do you keep the people with the Hamas mentality that the only good Jew is a dead Jew or a Jew's gone away? How do you keep them from rising to the top and taking over whatever society you have and then becoming Gaza, Gaza 2.0? How do you stop that?
It's really to work with international organizations to prevent that from both sides, from both the Israeli right-wing side and the Palestinian side. I mean,
remember, but the guys that signed the Camp David agreements to bring peace between Egypt and Israel, both of those leaders were killed.
Yeah.
And they were killed by their own people.
Yeah.
I mean, I always thought that was, I got a minute. Thank you. It was a wonderful call. Really, really well done. To you. Take care of this young man, and bring him back before he goes home.
I will.
Doctor, you look good.
Yeah, thank you.
Give a website or anything you'd like people to take a look at.
I mean, if you guys want to come and learn some more information, Heal.Palestine is an organization that helps sponsor Abdalaziz, and also Palestinian Children Relief Fund is also holding a gala on March 15th to support more kids.
You take care of yourself.
Thank you.
See you again. We go back into open lines, 303-696-1971. It is Saturday morning, February 23rd, 25. Rich Wyatt's going to be in our studio here just a little bit. Stand here, 710 KNUS.
At this hour, I'm Christina Awayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories.
White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller put a beat down on the media for lying about Joe Biden's mental decline while creating a narrative about Elon Musk. He then went on to give them a lesson on how the government actually works. Listen.
It is true that many of the people in this room for 4 years failed to cover the fact that Joe Biden was mentally incompetent and was not running the country. It is also true that many people in this room who have used this talking point that Elon is not elected fail to understand how government works. So I'm glad for the opportunity for a brief civics lesson. A president is elected by the whole American people. He's the only official in the entire government that is elected by the entire nation. That president then appoints staff to then impose that democratic will onto the government. What President Trump is doing is he is removing federal bureaucrats who are defying democracy by failing to implement his lawful orders, which are the will of the whole American people.
IRS agents were told on Thursday that 6,000 employees would be losing their jobs as President Donald Trump continues to enact spending cuts in an effort to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse from the federal government.
That's what you need to know at this hour. In Dallas, Christina Wyatt, Salem News Channel.
Good morning, everybody. We're back in open lines. I'm Peter Boyles. It's Saturday morning, Feb 23. Here he is, Jerry Butler, the premier soul. Wow. What a set of pipes. Grew up in Philadelphia. There was they were pals growing up, these kids, and only the strong survive. He will break your heart. Listen to that voice. For your precious love. If you're going to some girl's house hitchhiking and you had Jerry Butler records, you're headed for short strokes. Johnny Mathis. You know, we had no idea. Bring Johnny Mathis, but Jerry Butler, God, it's a guarantee. And I saw him, I mentioned this earlier, in the Syria Mosque in Pittsburgh. It was the first rock and roll show I ever went to. And it was Jerry Butler. And he came out and he was the closing act. And I've often wondered, do I remember this correctly, or was it someone else was the closing act? And then so later I met Jerry Butler, and he said, yeah, it was the closing act. But I didn't know shark skin. This is like a second time I've said this, or third time. I had no idea. Now, I would ask a guy like Adam, who's just a kid, do you know what shark skin is, or what shark skin was? And no, as gangsters, man. Gangsters wore shark skin. And he had a blue sharkskin suit on. We were sitting talking about it, and they had the spotlight. And he had a song called "He Will Break Your Heart," and I remember him down on one knee in that spotlight with that shark skin suit on. He had some Stacey Adams on, well, because we had good tickets. We must have paid all of $5. And he's saying, if he don't love you like I love you, if you indeed find that, that's he don't love you. So Jerry Butler hit. And he was down on one knee and he's in the spotlight. And he was singing, He Will Break Your Heart. And I mean, the girls were up under, and I never saw anything like, I never saw girls react like that. It was pretty cool. And they had the Allegheny County troopers, man. They were like in front of the stage. I used to think it was another band. Now it was just maybe a house band or something. But Jerry Butler came out, man. He was the Iceman. And also, so I'm reading this morning and I come across that we've also lost, if you were also in that era and loved the music, Sam Moore, who was sang Soul Man and Sam and Dave duo, and he was 89 years old, and he's gone. But Jerry Butler, man, it affected me. I mean, I know everybody's got a time and a place, but when I was a kid, man, Jerry Butler was the man. And then I had the chance to meet him and do the radio show with him. And wow, Jerry Butler was so instrumental in everything that was going on. But if you could go to some girl's house or where she was babysitting, and they had what people used to call a stereo. You know, my dad had there was like a record player, and then he had, was it For Your Precious? I'm trying to remember that the one that was the put away, but he had an LP, and I asked him about it. I said, I remember it as The Iceman Cometh. And he said, yeah, but He Will Break Your Heart. That was the Jerry Butler song. And Elvis, all kinds of people covered Jerry Butler. Why am I doing this? I don't know. But it's the passing of Jerry Butler. Play He Will Break Your Heart. Can you find that? And he Never Give Up, I think, was another Jerry. But I was trying to remember tunes. I just found out about it when I got a call, and this is how the world works. Got it. Well, so for Bob Tiernan, I worked for his dad. His dad's name was Tom. What an Irishman. And Bobby called me to say that, the Iceman's gone. Because ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kids of all ages, if you were standing there on the corner and you see some kid hitchhiking, he's got record albums under his arm. And one of them is this one, Jerry Butler. And you don't even know where he's going. I can tell you where he's going. You get up close, you can smell that. What was that? It was Old Spice. Got that Old Spice on, looking good, and got them Stacey Adams on. And then some girls babysitting somewhere, and it's like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Some guy heading out, man, and he will break your heart. So as I said, I was a young man, and he came in the studio, was doing PBS stuff, and I said, "Hey, man, you're it was one of the things I was gaga. You're Jerry Butler, dude." And man, all those guys. Otis Redding's part of that stuff, and Been Loving You Too Long, and in a lot of ways, Elvis fits into that stuff. But here's the man. They're out of Philly, and this guy came out. I was waiting to see him because I was like a big fan, and he warmed up. I don't know what he did first couple songs, and then he did this. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the Iceman, Jerry Butler. Whew. Son. Pow. Oh, love you. To tear us up. Boom, 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 boom. But wait. Now, don't do it, Peter. Don't embarrass yourself. Anyhow, Markey was 85 years old, and he was the man. So, 710 KNUS. Good morning, everybody. Danny Kaplis' law firm. And Danny suggests you choose an attorney who shares your values, because who you choose to represent you speaks volumes about your case and who you are. Danny Kaplis has been a longtime friend. I did his radio show with him, I don't know how long ago, but I don't know, 6 weeks ago. And we've just been friends. And our family, we got into something that wasn't anything to do with us, but we had a problem. And I knew Danny, and I called him, and he came like the wind. And Kaplis's law firm is official law firm of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avs. And Dan Kaplis's law is a serious firm for serious cases. Danny accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so he can represent good people from all walks of life without ability to pay. If you got a problem, he's there. 303-770-5551, 303-770-5551, or hit dankaplislaw.com, CAPLASlaw.com. All right, here we go. We'll start out with Mark in Aurora. Thanks for waiting, brother. You're on the show.
Pete, how's it going?
Back and forth.
Good. I wanted to let you know that I had told friends of mine that if we ever got an administration that didn't really care about spying and using 38,000 FBI agents to do so on all their political opponents, we might actually stop some school shootings. And we've stopped two, one on February 11th and one on February 20th, one in Indiana, one in Houston, both by the FBI.
Okay.
It's just an observation.
Yeah, well,
I don't
by
really...
the way, this series began on Netflix last night with De Niro calling the dead.
Yeah.
Did you watch that last night?
I didn't. You know, we're grandkidded up, Pete.
Okay, well,
is that a good enough explanation?
Oh, no, listen, it's on Netflix, so it runs 24/7. I'm not, but it really. Do you remember the book 1 Second After?
Yeah.
All right, it's a combination of 1 second after, and more like 1 second after, and then the after 9/11. And De Niro, I know a lot of people don't like De Niro, and I separate De Niro from the actor, but it's really, really, really well done. And
he used to be a great actor.
Well, I think he still is. He's just made everybody so mad because of what he said about Trump. But I mean,
well, I just meant some of his movies that he's done.
Well, watch this one. I mean, this one.
I think Deer Trail was probably some of the best acting, if not Taxi Driver, I've ever seen. So,
what was his name? Travis Trickle, right? Yeah, or close to that. Are you talking to me?
But I just think it's really interesting, Pete, that because so many of these stories, it's really, really sad. Like the girl down in Tennessee, who didn't see that coming with that private school?
Sure,
she went back and shot up.
Of course.
You know, when everything cleared, I told my wife the military guy up in Maine that hit three spots, the bowling alley first.
Yep.
Well, you know, nobody said anything at first. He killed himself, but there were like 100 guys in his group military that said this was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so my thought is all along, why don't they have a division in the FBI, whatever intelligence connections we have, and then connect the FBI to the cops? That, like, when somebody says this stuff, because it happened with Columbine, they almost always flag the event, Pete.
You know,
now,
Columbine is
the
one
crazy guys. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just something I was going to say to you. Columbine, because of my relationship with Frank DeAngelis and having lived here and been in the media, I got to tell you something. That still remains a mystery. Now, if Klebold's parents had done this, or you know,
yeah, I just meant that they were blowing stuff up. They were. People always kind of flag themselves. I'm not blaming anybody. One of my best friends is Craig Scott, Rachel Scott's brother. So you know who that is?
Of course,
he was in the library. His sister was shot. So yeah, I've got all kinds of anecdotes from all that. But what I'm saying is, a lot of times these people are really sloppy and they flag it. Now, to contrast that, you know, the nut job that showed up down in El Paso, I think it was, in the Walmart right there on the border.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some guy loading up his truck with a bunch of guns and just shooting out you know what? You're probably not going to stop that guy other than on the spot if somebody's armed and can take you down.
But if you take, for instance, that kid in Pennsylvania that tried to shoot Donald Trump, how do you know what he's thinking? His own father. I mean, who would allow their kid to go shoot the president? I mean, his father didn't know. His father helped him with firearms.
My brothers and I, four of us, we had an older brother. He's passed away. and he was in and out of the military mental health for like almost 30 years.
Yeah.
And he was well documented. Now, he wasn't violent, thank God, but you know, he would sometimes get up on a table and think he was Elvis, or I mean, you know, he did some crazy stuff.
Sure.
The thing is if we have a system in the country where you can put the information in and report it and get instant, which sounds like these two cases, they were acted on immediately.
Remember,
and they queued in the police.
Yeah, remember Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber?
Yeah.
What did his brother do? His brother said, if you won't execute him, I'll show you where he is. And that was the deal that he made for his brother to live.
A lot of these people, you know, they flag it, Pete. They're telegraphing. I think the guy at the Aurora Theater was.
Boy, again.
Well, remember the person at CU?
Well, yeah, she didn't do her job. No, that's all. That's
and
true.
And I know this for a fact because I have several psychiatrist friends. You know, if somebody turns potentially dangerously violent, they can break their oath. They can call it in. She did not. I'm just saying, if people come to believe the FBI will respond, Pete, maybe these shootings, a lot of them will go down. Stop.
See,
I hope.
It's nice, but I think when the switch gets thrown and somebody's going to do what these people have, whatever it is inside of them to do, or what kind of, boy, it's going to be tough. I mean, and it's stuff you have to harden the target. I think.
Well, no, I totally agree with that, Pete. There should not be, when my kids were in high school, I couldn't believe how hard it was. And I was in one of the parents' organizations. I couldn't believe how hard it was for me to sign in and get in the building.
Yeah.
I won't name the high school, but it's a big high school.
That's a good thing.
But some schools, maybe not as much. I got a quick Kennedy thing for you because, you know, they're supposedly going to release all this. Was her name Paige? What was his next door neighbors that was friends with Oswald's wife?
Oh, give me a second. Go, keep talking.
Paige, Payne, whatever her name was.
Yeah.
Elaine. Anyway, when those files come out, you know she was CIA because she got
you're talking
6 or 7 weeks.
You're talking about Ruth Payne.
Ruth Payne.
Yeah.
She got Oswald his job at the depository, and that was like 6 or 7 weeks before the shooting, which mean they already knew.
No, they didn't know they didn't know. It was
going to be in the square.
Well, it was pretty late when the Kennedys decide that they're going to go to. Remember, they're being warned: don't go to Dallas. Don't go to Dallas.
Oh, I know.
And I'm finishing a book right now called Sons and Brothers about Bobby and Jack. And it really, I mean, I can't, if I can get this guy on the show, he'll melt your mind with stuff that he says. But, you know, it's been questioned, when Oswald got the job, did he know Kennedy was coming? And we only got a minute till we got a break. I'm not sure it's ever been ascertained that there was a timeline that he jumped. Because remember, he's not a guy.
Only in that, Pete, remember, whenever it was, he gets the job, but they're going to go through and go down Stimmons. So there's two routes they could have taken, Maine or Elm.
Yep.
But the point is that somebody had already put him at the place they wanted to, you know, hang, because you and I both believe he was totally a patsy. He got shot from the front.
Here comes the music. Call some morning. We'll do an hour together. All right, everybody. It is Saturday morning, February 23rd, coming up in studio. We'll just bring him in now. Rich Wyatt will join us. 53 will be the high, 60 on Sunday, 65 on Monday. All's well in the world, 710 KNUS. Lines are lighting up, and I'm saying good morning, everyone. Coming up on Good Afternoon on 710 KNUS, Denver's talk station on a Saturday morning, the 23rd of February, 710 KNUS Weather Center. Weather is beauty. 53 will be the high, 60 Sunday, and a Monday, 65 degrees. I was telling him he punched the red light. It was interesting when we booked the show, and I've been off because I got a new heart valve, got a valve job, and so guys filled in. We did if there is such a thing as the best of, we did a best of. And so I came back in this morning. I usually come in way before the show starts. And Caldera knows Johnny's on vacation. So I went on the air, and I've been on the air since 6, and it's been a hoot. It's really been a lot of fun. So in billboarding, and I was asked last night, well, what's going to be the hot topic on the show tomorrow? I said, well, I have this young kid from Gaza who has had his leg blown off. And the doctor who always draws the lightning, and longtime friend, Rich Wyatt. People were more mad about you.
Excellent.
That's what I said. That's why we're doing radio shows.
Yeah.
If you can't piss them off with an injured Palestinian and Rich Wyatt, go home.
What are you going to do?
You just go get another job.
Yeah.
Go talk to people about their insurance needs.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you got no business here.
Yeah.
You look good. You heard the promo that Cal Clark went out of his way to make sure to know, everybody knows that you were a convicted felon, but now the head of the Jefferson County Republican Party.
Well, the beautiful thing is I've told more people than Kyle Clark I'm a convicted felon.
You've never hit it.
And, it's not news. Wake up, dude. Tell the news. I mean, what's his beef? Here's the thing, Pete. Yes, I lost my life. I lost my dream. I lost my family. I lost everything. And I went to prison. And I'm back out, and I'm going to be bigger and better than ever.
Well, there's an interesting thing if you grew up in a certain kind of a neighborhood where people do go away. We used to call it going away.
Yeah. I told people I went to college.
Well, they said at college.
Yeah.
What happened to Johnny's Uncle Billy?
Went to
college.
Yeah.
Everybody knew. But when the guy came home, and my Uncle Gene, who was a big influence in my life, always said, guy paid his debt.
Yeah. What are you going to do? It's over.
Yeah.
Next. Yeah.
Now, the only thing
I think that's the name of that little weasel show is Next.
Well, the only thing you can't do is you can't own a gun, can you?
Not yet. But everything can be fixed, Pete. You see, we have the greatest president in American history as the president. He's done more in 1 month than any other president's done in his entire term. And, fortunately, I was just down at Mar-a-Lago, and I met with Eric and Laura Trump, and I got a lot of things in the work, and we'll see what happens. But, it's cool to be a felon now. The president's a felon. So,
most of the people.
Look, the problem is these other people just don't have the stones to get into this club,
to do time. When, you had this big straight life, on television. And of course, we did a lot of work over the old Gunsmoke.
Yeah, we did.
We had, a lot of people came over. We saved people. We did, Pete. We did all kinds of stuff together.
Pete, when I was in prison, a guy came to me that we raised money for.
You're kidding.
No. Yeah. Pete, I mean, you don't know who you're going to meet in there. You meet some of them, but anyway, that's the path.
How much total time did you do?
4 years. Yeah.
What you told me all these stories before. What penitentiaries? I knew you were in Leavenworth.
I took the world tour.
Did you?
I got so many miles on Con Air. I can go down to, if you want to fly down to the Bahamas today, we can.
Flying Con Air.
And so
Con Air is real.
I did. Oh, it's real. I wrote it. I did Denver City Jail. I did Englewood, Colorado, Oklahoma City, El Reno, Oklahoma, Beaumont, Texas, Leavenworth, Kansas, back to Englewood, Colorado. One day, they flew me to your hometown,
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and see, when you go on Con Air, you don't know where you're going. Nobody's allowed to know. It's all surprise. It's all top secret, big hush hush thing, and you're all shackled up, and you get out there, and you get on there. And so we flew and we landed, and everybody's like, well, I think we're in this place. I go, this is Pittsburgh. And they go, how do you know? I go, because I eat at that restaurant right there. And we landed, and the plane broke. And so we sat on the tarmac for hours, and they fed us a frozen bologna sandwich and told us to wolf it down. And then the plane broke after that. And we just sat there on the plane, and then we flew back to Oklahoma City to the detention center there, which is the station where they clear everybody through. And we got back there, and I called up Renee, wife and I said, remember how I always said I wanted to get a private jet and fly somewhere and have lunch? Well, I did it.
You always find a silver lining
everywhere. And Pete, that's the problem with most people. They can't move on. They can't get over stuff. And if you can't get over it, how are you ever going to get to the next level?
If somebody were to ask you what federal time's like, how would you best describe it?
Sucks.
Yeah. Oh, it has to.
It's nothing like it's described. It's not club fed. It's not cool. Yeah. It's run down, crappy. They're who the worst people in the prison are?
I'm reading your mind right now.
The guards. Yeah. They bring in the drugs, they bring in the contraband. But let me tell you something. President Trump is fixing it. And the BOP, the Bureau of Prisons, Federal Bureau of Prisons, is $803 billion a year business that us taxpayers pay for. Mm-hmm. Most of it, 90% of it's a scam. And, we're going to help the Trump administration to fix that.
Rich Wyatt's here, 710 KNUS. I said, I figured on taking heat. And Richard was the reason people called the show and said stuff. 303-696-1971. All right. So, you literally came out of the penitentiary on the day you weren't even expected to go, were you?
No, it was a shocking day. Matter of fact, it was terrible, Pete. I was right here in Englewood at Quincy and Kipling. COVID was going, so we had that, which is nice. And I got in with the judge, and they made a deal to release me. And the judge, Bremer, federal judge, was excellent judge.
Did you see this coming that you were going to get out?
I knew there was the potential because you could see that I was winning my appeal. Oh. And so you could see something was happening. And so I knew I was going to get out. So I'm sitting there, but you don't tell anybody inside because as soon as they find out, then you got problems, right? Yeah. So they walk in, and this poor kid, he called himself Drama, if you can imagine. And they walk in and they grab Drama and they said, Drama, you're out of here, man. Pack your stuff. That's not the word they use. And go. And so Drama's packing up, and I go over and I talk to Drama. I said, Drama, dude, change your name, bro. Don't go out and be Drama. Get out and be a human. Go do good things, man. Come on, And he's like, I'm gonna, Rich. He's like, I'm gonna. And so the poor guy, the guard comes walking back in, and she comes over and she goes, Drama, I'm so sorry. It's not. He's already given away all his stuff. And he goes, it's not you. It's Wyatt. He's out. And I loaded up into a size 482, too big pair of pants and a medium T-shirt and a pair of sandals, and walked out the door with a plastic bag hung over my shoulder. And
what's the final thing they said to you?
Get out.
Yeah, that was it. Wow.
Wouldn't even let a car pull up to pick me up. Told me I could just go a couple blocks down to the Walmart down the street, 2 miles. Yeah, they screwed you, lied to me as I was walking out the door.
How much money did they give you to walk with?
Oh, let me count it up. With including this and that, it was zero.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, they give you nothing. You're out, no phone, no contact with America. You're dead, man. And it's COVID, and people are walking around looking at you. I got no mask, They're walking around looking. I'm holding up my pants because they don't fit me. The shirt doesn't fit me. I look like, I don't know what I look like. Some lady, thank God, came by, and shockingly, she let me use her phone. And she kept saying, I'm trying to describe to the guy where I am to come pick me up, and Robert Kruger, and I'm trying to get him to come pick me up. And she goes, just tell him you're across from the prison. I didn't want her to realize I was a prisoner.
Yeah, sure. Don't pick up a hitchhiker.
Yeah, but here we are, and
where'd you spend the first night?
Which first night?
First night you came home out of the fence.
Oh, the first night I came home?
Yeah.
I stayed in a little cabin.
Yeah.
Little tiny cabin. Yeah.
So now, and we'll fill in the blanks, and we'll open up the phones, 303-696-1971. We have a top of the hour break. Then we go to the afternoon. So why don't we do it now? Rich Wyatt's here. And one thing I know about Richard, you want to call him and ask him something, he's going to tell you. So one way or the other, as my father would say. 303-696-1971. And he is now the head of the Republican Party in Jefferson County, which, when you went away, you would have never thought you'd be the head of the Jefferson County Republican Party.
Yeah, no, I thought by now I'd be president of the United States.
We're coming back. Stay here. Is it as expected? Your turn, 303-696-1971. Almost good afternoon on 710 KNUS. afternoon, everyone. Get to stay at 7:10 ANUS. I'm Peter Boyles, and good afternoon to everybody. Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon now, February 23rd, 2025, and it's after a couple of weeks in the deep freeze, 53 the high today, 60 on Sunday, and on Monday it is 65. It'll be 65 degrees. It's really been a good show, and the icing on the cake is sitting in the studio with me right now, Rich Wyatt. And,
Morning, Pete.
Morning, soon. And good afternoon. Thank you. But Richard, was it last week you became the chairman of the Republican Party of Jefferson County?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Cal Clark, I've been in and out of the hospital for a couple of times and got a new heart valve is what I got. And so I got to watch. I get so bored not bored reading, but so I better turn the news on. And it is, I got to read you one of these too. And Cal Clark leads with convicted felon, now head of Jefferson County Republican Party, or words to that effect.
Yeah.
Which is, and so when somebody said to me, why are you booking Rich Wyatt? And there was all these angry people. And I said, Rich give you a show.
Rich what?
Rich would give you a show.
Oh, yeah.
Rich will give you a show.
Yeah.
I've known him long enough.
Yeah.
I got to read this. Hey, Pete, this sounds like the G. Gordon Liddy story.
I love G. Gordon Liddy.
I do too.
Hung out with him at the Soldier of Fortune show. Great guy.
Sturgis.
Scary looking, impressive. I mean, when you look at the guy, you know this is not the one. Am I right?
When he came out of the penitentiary, he came out of Lewisburg.
Yeah.
And he had written a novel. Not that book, Will, but he had written another book. It was about a break-in, the typical stuff. And so he comes to town, and nobody wants a guy.
Yeah.
It's like this. And I said, are you kidding me? And I said, and I'm working at KWBZ, the mother of all battles, and with wooden door, this rundown building on South Broadway. And I opened the door. He's there in a raincoat with a black spiky haircut. G. Gordon Liddy, agent for creep.
He did what he was told. He did his job.
I've told people how much I liked him.
Oh, you know what? And you know what was cool about him? He carried, because he couldn't carry a gun, he carried a Dan D knife made by Dan Dennehy in Del Norte, Colorado.
Wow.
Down there. And, he is just, I remember watching him on an episode of Miami Vice.
Yes, he was. He was on.
Yeah. You know who else was on there?
Who?
The Nuge. Ted Nuge.
Was he on it too? Okay.
Yeah. Two of my friends. And he's just G. Gordon Liddy, and he's just going to tell you, I'd rather know what you think than just wonder, what is this guy?
Well, he had been an FBI agent and he
Absolutely.
was here.
Yeah.
He did DeCour's kidnapping.
Yeah.
And
the real deal. Yeah.
The real deal.
The guy they keep in a cage and they say, okay, let him out. We got a problem.
President's vampire.
Yeah.
No. And so he talked like you talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, he's the one, and I won't do it on the air, but all about, he hated a lot of people he hated, but
he did.
He was fearless. And so he did remember he got a syndicated radio show.
Yes.
So he had it in Sturgis.
Yeah.
So I went and saw him in Sturgis.
You could just see in his eyes. I was hosting a thing for Bob Brown from Soldier of Fortune at one of his conventions in Vegas. And I introduced G. Gordon Liddy, and I was like, this is unbelievable.
I sent my card back, and he had this, they used to call him Smethers, the guy from that's a knockoff from the Simpsons, Smithers. Yeah. And he was Gordon's guy, man. And he took total care of Gordon. He came out real quick, said, come with me, Mr. Liddy. And I didn't go on the air. I just sat in there and talked to him. But he had a great line once. He said, he said, I don't have any guns. He said, but my wife's got 38 of them. Because he was he was a convicted felon.
Yeah. So you got to play the game.
He went to Lewisburg.
Yeah.
And he was in Lewisburg with Jimmy Hoffa and Tony Provenzano. I mean, he was up on the tier.
Luckily, he's not with Hoffa now.
Well, the point of this is he was.
Yeah.
And now he's gone from us as well. But
yes,
you knew Gordon Liddy.
I did. He was awesome. Pete, just like you and I have gone a lot of places, done a lot of things together, and we've been very fortunate. We met a lot of wonderful people.
Met some stiffs.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But they came up to us. We didn't go up to them.
Think it through.
Yeah.
No, it's but we met. I think in this business, you meet. We got everybody on the phone. Everybody on the phones wants to talk to you. You meet tons of people.
Yeah.
I mean, they come in and out of your life, and
that was one of the things Kyle Clark said. He said that I applied for a pardon with President Trump and I was denied,
you told me it wasn't
which is
true.
a total lie.
Yeah.
And he knows it. But, Thursday night before I got elected, I was at Mar-a-Lago with Eric and Laura Trump. And you think they'd let me into Mar-a-Lago if
you were dangerous?
If I had been denied a pardon from President Trump? I mean, security is tight.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, Secret Service got it buttoned up. It's his house. It's the South White House. I mean, he's down there. Look, this is the greatest American president we've had in history. Period, bar none. I mean, I think George Washington's a great guy. Theodore Roosevelt's a great guy. Lincoln's a great guy. Reagan was a great guy. But none of them have done what this guy's done. I mean, Kash Patel is in there, with 409 cleaning up the entire FBI. I mean, it's unbelievable. People they're jumping out. They're bailing. They're going, I can't work for this guy. I quit. Fantastic. You weren't working anyway. Get the hell out of here.
Oh.
But you were taking a paycheck. You're taking that paycheck. And
but Clark, I wonder what his ratings are. I really don't know.
They're the same as CNN and all the other losers.
I don't know.
They're dropping. I'm sure. I don't even have to look. They're dropping like a rock. Wake up, people. Look at the country. Look what's going on. America is behind Trump and this movement of making America great again. And it is coming whether you like it or not.
The point I'm trying to make is that the column had just dropped for me. The local media in Denver, Front Range, has lost its franchise. But
people don't respect the media anymore because it used to be the news. Now it's the story,
the opinion.
Yeah, the opinion. Sorry, you're right.
That's
the
right.
Opinion.
But looking at this guy is, I don't know, because he at least will put it out on the edge. He'll give you an edgy show, and it's the reason why you're sitting here. I mean, I count on Rich Wyatt not to give me a dull show. Right? No, I'm serious. I've known you 1,000 years.
I did my very first radio show with you.
Oh yeah,
in Aurora,
shooting machine guns.
With Sullivan,
Pat Sullivan.
Pat Sullivan was coming. Never showed chicken.
Gave people that guy.
Oh, he's a horrible guy.
Is he still alive?
Who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, he's no good. That guy needs to be 6 feet under for sure. But he did horrible, terrible things to little boys.
Did horrible things to everybody.
And to everybody. And he used the badge of authority to do it.
He did.
And he did like 90 days and I got 4 years.
Yeah.
Something's wrong here.
And a place with his name on it.
Yeah, with a place with his. They were actually taking it down while they were putting him in.
What I think about the Sullivan story is it's the same thing with Scotty Ewing, who owned Players and Sugar when I did that whole thing.
Yeah.
He was the man who knew too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when the sentencing, I wasn't there, but a friend of mine, a media newspaper person, was covering that. And this judge said to him, you don't have to take this deal. And I said, that's like handing me and you $1 million lottery winner ticket and say, Rich, you don't have to take this ticket.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's right. They were afraid of him.
Yeah, they were.
They were afraid of Scotty.
Yeah.
And when I defined,
the guy that found him out was George W. Bush.
They found Pat out?
Yeah, he was up to be U.S. Marshal for this territory.
Well, there were plenty of guys that were on to Pat Sullivan's story.
Oh, they were, but they kept it quiet. It was on the down low because he threatened them and they were afraid of him.
That's right.
And I did battle with him actually on 9 News with Pat Sullivan.
I think he's good for 2 murders. Two young boys.
I wouldn't be shocked because
I think this is my opinion. I think he's good for 2.
When you tell me that, I go, I believe it.
Sure.
Yeah, I believe it.
He's a bad man.
He's
and he got away with it.
Yeah, he got away with it. 90 days. Are you kidding me? And you want to put, they want to take all Trump's wealth and lock him up and come on.
Well, it depends. It's like Teddy Kennedy. I'm reading Brothers and Sons, this Sons and Brothers, this story about the Kennedys, the 3 Kennedy brothers. And, Teddy Kennedy should have went down on Chappaquiddick.
Are you kidding me? He left. He ran away. Yeah. Listen, Bob Brown, a Soldier of Fortune guy, great guy, lives up in Boulder. I remember him at an NRA event speaking, and he said, I'm so old. Right after John F. Kennedy Jr. crashed the plane and killed his wife and mother-in-law. I'm so old. I remember when the Kennedys used to kill their women one at a time.
Ooh, ouch. Ow. Ow.
So...
Bob Brown.
Oh,
Bob
man.
Brown was, see, he'd give you a radio show.
Oh, he'd give you a radio show. Yeah, he was the
come in
man.
and do, he'd
I
come
mean,
in and do the show.
You know, he
bring
had
guns. And,
oh yeah, they advertised Hitman in the back of Soldier of Fortune.
remember that?
He got sued when $1 million was $1 million.
Yep.
And he paid it.
He paid it.
He's a hero. He's an American colonel.
What was
He's
the ad? I think I remember. Rich Wyatt's here. Peter Boyles, 710 Yes, we'll get to the phones. But there was an ad that they ran that these guys wanted they kill somebody for money or something. Wasn't
yeah, it was a
yeah.
Hitman ad in the back of the classifieds.
Yeah, that was
I put a 1-page ad that says, if you kill Osama bin Laden with a Gunsmoke gun, I'll give you $100,000. And that was one of the best ads I ever placed because it got me the most time everywhere. You know, just blurred up. I used to put up billboards, you know, Pete, at front of Gunsmoke that said provocative things, and then I'd go in and call the news and wrap myself off, and they'd come and give me a $35,000 hit.
Oh
on,
yeah, I know.
You know,
I'm
on
sure. Yeah,
TV.
that's an old game.
Yeah,
that's right. Curveball. This.
Yeah, this isn't my first rodeo.
No.
Yeah.
I've taught you people before.
Yeah.
Watch this.
Yeah. And hey, I want to do this for the Republican Party, Pete. I want to bring the youth in.
I was going to ask you.
I'm telling you now, the youth is coming back. When TikTok closed for 20 hours or whatever it was, kids were calling into 911 saying, I can't get on TikTok. What do I do? I mean, that's how addicted they are to it.
Sure.
And so and then when it came back on, it said, thank you, President Trump, because we couldn't have done this without you, something like that. And so I want to get those kids that are enamored with Trump because he did something directly for them and say, hey, this is what the Republican Party's about. Don't believe all this stuff you heard before. We're not the ones spending billions and billions of dollars on a weird magazine that's going to be published in Peru that does nothing for America ever anywhere. We're not the ones that say, hey, we want you to switch parties. We want you to become a Republican. We don't want you to change genders. We just want you to switch parties. Just come on over, man. Just be here. You know, these kids are switching genders and encouraged to do so because it's cool. That's not why you do it, Pete. You know, when you're a little kid, you don't make these types of decisions.
No.
You know, I mean, you can't drive a car yet. And you can switch genders? Are you kidding me? We have gotten so out of control, and we're going to bring it all back. And we're going to start right here in Jefferson County. We got some big stuff coming up with the state party. Colorado failed. Most of the country turned to the right to go to President Trump and to support him. We only moved by 1.5 points, and the entire New York and California moved double digits, and we couldn't get it going. Jefferson County only moved by 0.5 percentage point.
Rich Wyatt's here, Peter Boyles, 710 KNUS. How screwed up is the Republican Party?
Oh, it's a train wreck. I'm telling you, Pete, when I ran just the other day, they cheated. There were more ballots in the box than there were voters. More ballots in the box than voters. They cheated. They're our own. It's not just the Democrats. We got to clean out some of the Republicans. We got to get rid of the cancer that's inside our party and bring in great Americans.
When did it come in?
I think the day it started.
No,
maybe it was a couple hours later.
No, but if you think about it, at one time this was a red state.
Hey, Pete, when I ran for sheriff in Jefferson County, Democrats didn't even run.
No, I know.
They didn't even think about it.
No.
You won at the primary or the assembly. That was it. You beat all the Republicans. You got in. They didn't even, because now, the guy I met, very nice guy, Ted Trippa. They wrote the book.
Ted's my guy.
I got to get together with him.
Yeah.
He put the book together, the blueprint.
Yes, he did.
They moved in. And, they came in with a plan, and they executed the plan, and they did a killer job.
I think we got a break coming. Do we got a break coming here? 5 minutes. In 5 minutes? Okay.
So they did a killer job. They brought it up. They came in, and now we're going to turn that back on its head because we're going to go back to the rightful place we should be. We're not going to allow these things. We got to get rid of mail-in ballots. We got to get rid of voting machines. Hey, Pete, you remember Election Day when you went down and voted between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m.?
Yeah, sure.
And you had the results at what time?
That night by
11 o'clock news, perhaps, right? Yeah. Now we got all these whiz-bang machines that do it so fast. We don't know for a month.
No, they did it really fast this year, and because everybody.
Well, that's because they were under the gun.
Well, no, they passed laws.
No, look, there was
Georgia, Pennsylvania were the states that were always in question, and their legislative bodies passed. You don't stop counting. What their laws were in Georgia and Pennsylvania was when you got to a certain hour, you stopped counting. That was and then all this other.
But Pete, every time they take a long time to figure it out, they come up with their guy as the winner. And when you just get it done.
Look at the stiffs that Republican Party ran here.
Okay.
Did you vote for them?
I did. but I had to. So, but there were good people. There were good people running. There really were. There were some people out there that were running, that were good humans that you like, that I like, they would have done a good job. In my House district, 25, George Mama ran. George would have been a good guy. George would have been good to have in office, but he didn't make it. None of them made it. No,
right.
In Jefferson County, not one Republican made it.
And once was a stronghold. I mean, there used to be all the commissioners were Republicans.
And so we need to get rid of these mail-in ballots. They're ripe for fraud.
Well, that may be if you wish, but
Pete, I went and knocked on doors when I was running for helping Eric Odlin run. A great man that should have been in Congress.
We both know him. Yeah.
Should have been. Great man. And I would go up to an 800 to 1,200 square foot house by School of Mines in Golden, knock on the door. I got 9 registered voters on the list. Not one of them lives there. But every one of those ballots went to that door. Now tell me, where did they go after that? That's the problem.
Well, once again, most of the stuff that happened, what was legislatively removed, Donald Trump got a quick count. We knew I was sitting in this chair. We were doing my first and only I've ever done post-election, and it was at 11:02 or something. And the country, the networks called it for Trump.
Sure,
the count was made.
Sure, because he beat the cheat. And so listen. In 2020, we went to bed. He was the winner. We woke up in the morning. He wasn't,
because the count stopped.
Okay. Well, I think it's because the lights went out.
But nobody Richard,
changed the rules.
Let's do this and then move off the topic.
Okay.
One of the smartest men ever walked the earth in media is Rupert Murdoch.
Okay.
So
don't know.
Well, he owns.
I know who
he owns
is.
Fox
Sure.
News and owns Wall Street Journal, and he's and his 2 boys, and Fox got sued for what was allowed to happen on Fox.
Sure.
And Rupert paid some $877 or $78 million, settled on the courthouse steps in Delaware. Knew that if he went in, it was going to cost him $1 billion.
Sure, because you can't trust the courts these days.
No, come on, that's an out card.
No, it's not an out card.
Why didn't they go get all these people that you say? Why didn't they bring Mike Lindell and put him on the stand?
Why? I don't know why.
Because Mike Lindell's not telling the truth.
I know Mike Lindell. I think he tells the truth. I think he's a very good man. I like him a lot. I don't. I know, but how well do you know him?
I don't. Never met him.
Well, then you ought to meet him and hang out with him, because you change your view.
Well, there's people that
I'm going to go back a few years, and I remember you were down on Bob Beaupre because he didn't help Corey Voorhees. But in the end, he was helping Corey Voorhees.
In the end, but we didn't know it.
I know you didn't know it, and I told you many times. I said, "Hey, lighten up on Bob. He's a good man."
Oh, I don't think he's a bad guy.
Yeah,
I just think that what they were involved with wasn't good politics.
But he was doing the right thing. He just didn't want it public. And listen, Bob Beaupre's a good man.
Corey came this close to going with you.
I know he did. And Corey's, Corey.
For no reason,
suffered a tremendous loss regardless.
Yes, he did.
And he's a wonderful man.
He's a great guy.
And
we fundraised for him at your shop.
We did.
Saved his house.
We did.
And Tom Martino came and
we did.
Brought the missus. And we did.
Well, the missus brought Tom Martino. She's
there you go.
Taller and better looking.
But and then I got a break, and then we'll come back and start again. But if all of these things were true, Newsmax settles, and all these different people.
I don't care about settling.
Oh,
Settling's a business decision. It's not always the right thing. You know how many times have insurance companies settled with somebody just to make them go away?
That's not what he did.
Well, I don't know what happened, but all I know
he had to fire employees.
I don't believe it, and everybody should believe in our elections that they're true and fair. Everybody.
The only reason people don't believe is because people started telling lies and they wanted to believe them. We're coming back, hanging with Rich Wyatt. The break is solid. Stay here.
At this hour, I'm Christina Awayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories.
President Donald Trump has signed an executive order that will stop all federal tax dollars from being spent on benefits for illegal migrants, saying that the money should be used to benefit American citizens who are truly in need, including people with disabilities and veterans. A White House fact sheet states that illegal migrants are banned from welfare programs. Each illegal that crosses the border costs American taxpayers $130,000. In addition, funding to sanctuary cities will also be cut off. This, as a new report from a House committee revealed that between 2021 and 2023, $451 billion tax dollars were spent on illegals. By 2034, according to the Economic Policy Innovation Center, another $177 billion would be spent on illegal migrant benefits alone, including $59 billion in Obamacare premium tax credits, $15 billion for food stamps, $43 billion for the Earned Income Tax Credit, $40 billion for Medicaid, $13 billion for child nutrition programs, and $4 billion for supplemental security income. However, that has all been cut off now because of Trump's executive order putting an end to taxpayer-funded benefits for illegals.
That's what you need to know at this hour. In Dallas, Christina Wyatt, Salem News Channel.
Let's not start that up, okay? 710 Chain US. Peter Boyles, Rich Wyatt, Saturday afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. One line's open. We will go to the phones in a second. Ski resorts are experiencing better snow conditions, maybe right now, probably than those, certainly this whole year. It's a perfect time to take your skis and boards for a tune, or maybe time to look for the good stuff. For the best winter sports equipment, head over to Larson Ski and Sport. It's almost spring skiing, and this is the moment I've been waiting for. I've had a pretty interesting couple of physical years, and it's kept me off the mountain. But spring skiing in March, I'm headed. The best winter sports equipment. So what you're looking to rent or buy equipment, Larson's got you covered. Dedicated to providing you with the best skiing experiences possible. The convenience of Larson's is unbeatable. Perfect stop on your way or up the mountain or down the mountain. So you find them, a large wooden building next to you. You come down the Kipling off ramp. So you're westbound on I-70 down to Kipling ramp. Then make a left, and there's a tunnel under I-70. Comes out the other side. Look to the right. You'll see a large wooden building. They're 7 days a week. It is Larson Ski and Sport. John Marriott, his son Jack, the guys at Larson's are absolute experts at everything that you need for winter sports. I mean everything. So if you're, things you've been skiing on now for a season, you're going like, maybe. This is a great time to buy new skis or new boards or cross countries. Stop in today and tell them I sent you. 7 days a week. Well, Larson, L-A-R-S-O-N, Larson Ski and Sport, south of I-70 on Kipling. Their website, larsonsport.com. In studio is Rich Wyatt. Let me punch and bike up. Before we go to the phones, anything?
Couple things. First of all, Larson Ski and Sport is fantastic. I love those guys. They're right down from Gunsmoke. And Pete, but through you and them, they helped my family when I went to prison. And I love John Marriott, and I love the place. And I tell everybody, get your butt in there. The other thing I want to talk about, just for a minute, if it's okay, is Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
Okay.
And I'm working with them, and I'm trying to get there. We are building right here on I-25 and Colorado Boulevard, a veterans village. And Tunnel to Towers Foundation is one of the best foundations in the country. We build beautiful mortgage-free homes for catastrophically injured veterans, smart homes. If a fireman or cop dies in the line of duty, we go in and pay the bill, pay off their mortgage on their house. And now they're trying to eradicate veterans homelessness. If you go to T2T.org, all we're asking for is $11 a month. We got big wheels behind us. We got Mark Wahlberg, Jelly Roll, Dennis Quaid, all the juiced up guys there ever were. I've been working for them for 20 years. Please help us out and go. And we want to do a big gala here in Denver. You're going to be involved. And, I walk in here and I see your producer, Adam, wearing a Tunnel to Towers hat, and it makes me proud. And so I love it. And, so please go to T2T.org and donate. Sign up for $11 a month. You can't beat it. Fantastic.
Back to the phones. All right, here we start the show. This is Michael. You're on a radio show. Peter Boyles, Rich Wyatt. Good afternoon. Michael, you're there.
Yeah, Peter, thank you for taking my call. So glad to hear you are doing good and your operation was a success. And Rich Wyatt, thank you so much for the work you're doing with Tunnel to Towers. I know it has immense significance, and congratulations on your new position as well.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So, Rich, I wanted to ask you about this bill in the Colorado Senate this past week that I'm sure you're familiar with, but it requires, in order for people to buy certain guns with extended magazine rounds, essentially you have to take a training course. And additionally, you have to have a criminal background check to buy these certain ARs. And, proponents of this bill have basically said, well, we're doing this so people that have a mental health break cannot just go to, a sporting goods store, Walmart, wherever, get an AR and go shoot up a place. It would be harder to do that, essentially.
Because of time, ask your question, please.
Right. Well, a lot of conservatives have been against this. If this isn't the solution, we obviously need to do something about this. What is the solution, Rich Wyatt? What do you think we should do to kind of curb this issue of, mental health crises regarding gun violence?
Stop. You ask it.
Punish real criminals, send them away, put them in the big house, do what you got to do with them, and stop trying to blame the tool for the crisis. The tool doesn't cause the crime. The criminal causes the crime. So that's what we got to do. This bill's never going to pass constitutional muster. It'll never be. The Supreme Court will overturn it. It's going to be a problem for a while, but as soon as it gets to the Supremes, they dump it.
It's really true.
Yeah.
But
thank you, Michael.
We've talked about it so much. We go to, next, I think it's Phil in Arvada. Phil, good morning. Thank you. Good afternoon, Phil. Thank you and welcome to the show.
Hey, Peter, I'm glad to see you back and live and well.
You?
Yeah. Hey, listen, I heard that Rich Wyatt was going to be on there, and I thought, well, I met him a couple times at his store on 44th Avenue in Wheat Ridge.
That's it.
And I wanted to buy that Gatling gun he had on the floor, but he wouldn't sell it. But anyways.
Oh, I would have sold it. And everything's for sale. You just got to have enough money.
Yeah. Rich, I met you at my brother's funeral, and you know my brother.
Oh, I'm so
He was an
sorry.
entrepreneur, and he had a pawn shop on Nelson Street on Colfax.
Oh. Who are we talking
Odie?
about? Oh, Odie. Listen, Odie is a great friend of mine and a great man. Odell Orr had a pawn shop. It was later over in Golden across the street from Camp George West. And Pete knows him. Everybody knew. If you didn't know Odie, you didn't live in Denver. And Phil, I am so sorry. I miss Odie all the time, and I really do. And I wish he was still around. He was a good, dear friend of mine.
He was an entrepreneur. He always had to come back and ask you something else, like what's his name?
Like
I
you,
can't think of
Phil. You're Odie's brother. Yeah.
I'm Odie's brother, and I'm 77 years old. I'm sorry. I think of him every day.
Well, I do too. I miss him.
He passed away in September 9th of 2021, I believe.
Yeah, it's funny. His funeral was something else, and I miss him. But hey, listen, Phil, it's great talking to you,
brother.
Thank you so much. And
yeah, I wanted to buy your truck too.
Well, yeah, it sounds like you got a lot of money, and I need to get some of it. So stop by.
I do have a lot of money.
Fill that thing up with cash, because hey, you do. Well, call up Tunnel to Towers, give him $1,000 today, and
there's
Odie's
one
name.
more thing, Rich. There's one more thing.
Hold it. Did you send $1,000 to Tunnel to Towers?
I want you to be governor of Colorado.
That's not going to happen, but I appreciate that. Right now in the mix for governor, we got Greg Lopez, Mark Baisley, and Scott Bottoms. There's a whole bunch of other people that got no shot. But
we need to clean up this country.
We do. But listen, Phil.
And Donald Trump's going to do it.
Oh, he's the man. There's no better guy that could have been put in there. He's got the experience, the time. And listen, it's convicted felons all the way to making America great again. If you're not a felon, you don't qualify.
I'm not a felon.
All right. Well, then do us a favor. Just go donate $1,000 to Tunnel to Tower in Odie's name. Thanks a lot for coming on.
I donate a lot of money.
Right,
Thank you, Phil. Bye-bye.
303-696-1971. Adam's cleaning up calls. Rich Wyatt's here. Who is the next? Well, now there's going to be a vacant seat. Jared Polis is term limited.
Open seat, not vacant. Yeah, open seat. He's not leaving, but Jared Polis is term limited, so we're gonna have some people come at. It's going to be quite a fight this year. Not this year, but next year.
We got 2 years.
But they're already started now. Let the games begin.
What do you make? What do you think happens?
Well, I think that, Greg Lopez has got a big draw with the Hispanic community.
Mm-hmm.
He's former congressman now from the U.S. Congress. Mark Baisley is a phenomenal man. He's going to probably throw his name in the hat. And then Scott Bottoms is a pastor, and he is a literal lightning rod rock star. All three of those guys are going to go in there and hash it out. One of them's going to come out on the top, and they'll be the contender that goes against whoever they put up. The Democrats are going to destroy each other because they got so many people that all of them are qualified to be in jail as well. And, they got a lot going on, but I don't think they get there. They don't have the juice that Jared Polis had. I mean, Jared Polis is a hard guy to beat. He really is. He's hard to beat, but I don't see a candidate coming up on the Democrat side that is that hard to beat as Jared Polis was.
You think there's a sea change coming in the country?
Oh, look at it. It's clear as a bell.
Yeah.
If you look at the counties, all the counties have shifted to grassroots people, to real rock stars that want to make America great again. Trump's doing it. We got the House, we got the Senate, we got the White House. That's it. It's coming, folks. It's coming. Now, I know they say, and normally it swings back the other way. That's not happening this time. No. Trust me. I'm with the government, and I'm here to help. And I'm telling you now, we're going to hold the line. We're going to build more in the future. 19 of Trump's appointees have gotten through Congress. No problem.
Well, generally, and not to take it away, but generally, first-term presidents, everybody gets approved. That's something that goes back to, I don't care if it's W or whomever, people are approved because the man or woman has they won the country, and the idea is you step back, let them have the first 100 days, the first 5 days.
Oh my gosh! When we get to 100 days, he's going to have done more than all the presidents combined. There's been thousands of feds gone. He doesn't even sleep, this guy. He's like the Energizer Bunny. Bump, up, bump, up. He just keeps going.
They dismissed they ended birthright citizenship.
You know what people love about him? He's a businessman that says what he thinks, and he doesn't sugarcoat it, and he's not a politician. We're done with politicians. We need Americans now.
Why do you think this, by the way, things are flying in? The scariest words the government can say is what you just said.
I know.
But there's reasons why things happen. And if this country had not done Donald Trump and had done 4 more years of the policies of Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, well, not Bill Clinton, but more so what Harris was going to do.
Yeah. Who?
It used to be the answer to a question. Remember that?
Yeah.
They're going over a cliff. This country would go over
Look,
a
they
cliff.
pushed it too far.
Yes, they did.
They went way too. And you know what? They can't get their foot off the gas. They just keep driving the train.
Well, sure.
They're having little protests. They get like 12, 13 people together.
They're not.
And how about Bobby De Niro? What's he doing now? Oh, that's right. He's doing nothing. Yeah, because he's nobody. He gets up there and talks all this trash about Trump, and he's a failure. Look at them all. They said Trump will never be the president. Wake up.
I know
We're
tons of
here.
people that said that.
Yeah,
I mean, it was
wake
like-
up. I said he was going to be the president.
Yeah.
People told me, oh, he's not going to do. Okay, well, guess what? Here he is, and here we are, and we're moving.
Again, that this is a month, first 30 days, and nobody's neutral.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care where you go, a bar or a locker room or, the drag strip. And you bring up Donald Trump, it's a lightning rod. Some people like yourself, other people no. So
sure, but P, what's changed now is people are wearing their MAGA hats.
Oh.
They're walking around
outside.
They're going down the road, and even the people that were on the other side have come over. You look at Charlie Kirk, he's a wonderful man. Goes to the colleges, talking to the kids. He's having trouble getting them to come up and argue with him now because. Because they are going, wait, hold it. This is too much. You guys went too far. This is crazy. This is lunacy. So now he just gets the few, people that are out of some type of terrorist cell that are coming up and arguing with him.
All right, here we go. Let's go to Gary in Denver. You're Rich Wyatt, Peter Boyles, 710 KNUS. Good afternoon, Gary. You're on the air.
Hey, Gary, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Peter and Rich. Coincidentally, about 8 years ago, I was riding a lift up at Winter Park with Peter, and I told him I worked for the IRS, and he said, "Oh, a friend of mine's in a jackpot," and we didn't go any further.
It was you. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah, I skied with Gary one day.
All right, Gary. Thanks. Maybe.
And I was wondering, I don't have two heads. I'm just a regular guy trying to make a living.
Sure.
Rich, was your sentence attributable to tax evasion or something like that?
Well, they convicted me of one crime in the gun world, which I later overturned on appeal. And I got to be honest with you, the ATF was very, very difficult. One guy, I don't want to mention his name, Mark Feltz, but the guy on the other side, the IRS side, was a very good man and treated me with respect and dignity. And it wasn't personal. He was a good guy, and he just was doing his job.
I appreciate that because we are just regular people.
And Gary, let me tell you something. Ask anybody. I don't know if I know you or not, but I just say the truth no matter what. You could have a gun to my head. I'm still telling the truth. And I appreciated that. I actually even remember saying in the bathroom in court one day how much I appreciated and I'm not going to say the guy's name on the air that was the agent that handled it, but he did a lot of things that he realized the ATF was overreaching.
Yeah, I wanted to. It sounds like you're supporting veterans, and
yes,
if you ever talk to Donald Trump, some of the federal employees have been fired, and unfortunately, a lot of veterans have been caught up in that because they might serve their country in the armed forces for 20 years and then take a job in the federal government, maybe a white collar job.
Sure.
And they're on probation for the first year.
Sure.
So when they fired all these federal employees, they didn't recognize that veterans, had 20 prior years, and they didn't give them credit, and they wound up firing them.
Well, it'll all work out in the wash. When you clean a house, you gotta make a little mess before you get everything cleaned up. And so there's a little mess going on, but it's all going to work out. Listen, President Trump loves our veterans. He's rock solid about that. He loves law enforcement. He loves great Americans that are doing great things, and he's going to do everything he can to help them. That's who he is and what he does.
We're headed to the
All
break.
right, I'm glad you got out.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Gary.
Everybody hang on. 303-696-1971. Rich Wyatt in studio. Pusher Man. Easy Ride. This is when Peter Fonda pulls out. He takes his watch off and puts it down on a rock. And Rich was with him when we were with Peter Fonda, and he takes the watch off, and that signified time has stopped. And then this song fades. They crack those bikes, pull out on the road, and it switches over. Crosby, Stills, and Nash. I mean, it's just like you plan this one in your head for all the money and what's behind the curtain. In that movie, it's up either one of you, Adam and Rich, can answer. All right, when they first bring the dope up out of Mexico, Captain America and Billy, and there's a guy in a Rolls Royce sitting at the end of LAX, and the airplanes are landing overhead, and they bring him the drugs over to the car. Who is it? Who's the actor?
Oh, I can't remember.
Adam?
I don't know. You're going to hate me. I haven't seen that movie.
Oh,
I knew it.
Well, he's a young guy.
Yeah, he is a young guy.
Give him credit.
It's Phil Spector. Spector Records.
No kidding.
They
Phil
killed that
Spector.
woman. They shot that woman, killed that woman.
Oh, wow.
That's Phil Spector.
I would have never known.
And the goon driving is really Phil Spector, one of Phil Spector's guys.
Yeah.
And they sit on the end of the bike, at the end of the runway, and it's LAX, and they're filming it. That's Phil Spector.
It's like that picture of the Harley in front of the Vatican.
Yes.
And the priest in the back is Peter Boyles.
That's not a story we let out.
From David Ewell.
David Ewell to you.
Yeah.
It's a picture of David Ewell, who is probably the most gifted person we know.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And he painted actually, I think it's his bike.
Yeah.
And it's in St. Peter's Square.
Yeah.
And it's a gift that the factory, Harley Davidson, the motor company, gave to the Vatican.
To the Pope.
To the Pope. There's a picture.
David with the Pope.
David and the Pope. That's the picture on the back of the picture. It's on my wall. And there's a priest in the St. Peter's.
Yeah.
It's me.
Yeah, it's you. It's crazy.
Adam.
Crazy.
No,
David Ewell, the best artist ever on the planet.
Ever. So,
had dinner with him and his beautiful wife the other night.
Oh, man, that's the A-team.
Yeah. Oh,
and they put out these kids that are like, people would buy them.
Yeah.
They're so bright.
Oh, Sterling.
Yeah.
Bella.
It was just like the best.
Oh, yeah.
So
what a family.
What we have, let's see, we have about 10 minutes left in the show, give or take. Rich Wyatt's here, has been through so much. Say what you want to say, but took it on the chin. Well, as in my boxing career, I said I was on the canvas more than Picasso.
Yeah.
That's a dope model. But you did. I mean, you took it hard.
Pete, for people out there, everybody's struggling with something.
Sure.
Everybody. I don't care who you are, you got something. You think it's the biggest problem in the world. Somebody's got a bigger, badder problem. Somebody's having more of a tough time. And I just want to tell you, pray to God, lift him up, hold him up. He's there with you. He's walking with you. Those footsteps in the sand, those are his carrying you through those tough times. And if you can do that, you're the man. I'm going to tell you, in the Denver City Jail, we had 172 guys in the room on Christmas Day. And this is factions of every gang, every color, creed, race, everything going on that don't talk to each other, don't sit with each other. We all sat at one table. We pushed all the tables together. We had Christmas dinner together, family style. 169 guys sat down and together and broke bread over Christmas. The guard in the prison said, "I've never seen anything like this, Wyatt. How'd you do it?" I said, "I didn't do it. God did it." 3 guys wouldn't join us, but the rest of them sat there. If you can give your trust and faith to God, he promises you that he will be with you. And that is what brought me through this. Other than that, I could not do it by myself. That is what's bringing me back. That is why I'm working with Tunnel to Towers, and I want people to get out there. That's why I want to get youth involved in the Republican Party so we can keep America on track. If you're a young person in Jefferson County and you want to get involved in the party, call the Jeffco GOP. We want you here. We want to do events for you. We want to keep things strong and solid. We just want to be Americans. That's all. We don't want to cause any other trouble. We just want to be Americans.
We have a great mutual friend, John Mai. I just got a text from John Mai. I'm going to read this to you.
Okay.
This is funny. If you know, it says, "Good show so far."
Well, John's one of the great Americans.
Oh.
And, there are a lot of people behind, everybody. that's back there helping things get along. And a lot of the things I've had major accomplishments in my life were with John helping me. And, you know, we need people like that.
One of a
Friends
kind.
they're through thick and thin. You want to find out who your friends are? Just drop into prison for a while.
I was going to ask
you're
you.
going to know. Because the rest of them drop off. And then all of a sudden, when you flash back up, boy, they start coming around going, hey, you made it. Oh, well, where the hell were you?
Good to see you.
Needed a sandwich, man.
Alan Berg used to tell a story.
Yeah.
And there was there was a restaurant inside of the turn of the century called Giuliani's. And it was the first place you could get $100 meal. So
Wow.
Berg and I are working at BZ. So BZ takes gas. So Berg goes for dinner. They bring him a bill. And after he was eating free and plugging the restaurant. So we go over and he catches on first at KOA and then they bring me over. So he's there and the phone rings. Alan, where have you been? Same thing.
Where have you been?
They want to know where he'd been.
Yeah.
And so he went back, I think, for dinner that night.
And I understand it. People don't want to get caught up in the spokes. No. I get it. I know. I understand. But the bottom line is, you know, the people these things hurt most are the families, not the guy.
Oh, sure.
They didn't, you know, they didn't get me like they wanted to, but they got my family way worse. And some of them were evil and did terrible things, and some of them were great. But look, here's the thing. If you get through it and you come out better and you're doing better, I'm a better man today. Okay. I'm going to do better. I'm going to do better things. You know, there's not one of us in the world here that hadn't made a mistake. And, you know, we got to press forward and get on with it. And I am so excited. Look, this Tunnel to Towers thing, helping these veterans, this is a thing that makes me excited. Because the work we're doing is just stellar. It's fantastic. When you build a beautiful smart home, so a guy that's a double amputee can get around in his own house and everything is fitted perfectly for him in this house, it's just great. It's one of the greatest things you can do. And, you know, this is a big organization. 95.2% of the money we raise goes to the cause. This isn't a top-heavy organization where we're, you know, paying off the CEO.
Limo rides. Yeah.
Frank Siller doesn't take a dime. And that's Steven Siller's brother, the New York City fireman that died on September 11th. So guys, if you can, please get out there and please donate $11 a month to Tunnels to Towers, T2T.org.
Now I just got a note from Elizabeth Ewell.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, the mother of the Ewell children and
the beauty behind the family. I mean, David's a big lug, but she's a beautiful woman.
Those kids are her. What do they call them? What was the movie where the guy would get into the tube and turn into the it was really good. It was the guys rode dragons, and I saw it with my grandson about 6 months ago. Come on.
Oh, I know the one you're thinking of. I can't think of the name.
What's the name of the movie? Adam, you know this stuff.
It's like a cartoon thing.
No, it's not a cartoon. It was they had real actors, and it got a lot. The guy that did Titanic did it. Why am I
don't know.
Avatar.
Avatar.
These are Elizabeth's avatars.
Well, you know, the Ewells are fantastic, and you get go to Ewell Studios and get some of their artwork. And you know what? It's an investment, man. I've never bought one that wasn't worth a ton more by the time I got it.
Or ones you can't buy anymore.
Can't buy them anymore.
They just
can't
sell
buy
them.
them anymore.
There's one. It's David's Christmas, and it's 3 kids in a Harley, and it's in the Depression, and it has a sidecar, and they have a Christmas tree in the sidecar.
In the sidecar,
and the kids are riding together.
Yeah,
that one just brings tears. All right, Adam.
You know.
Okay, we got a minute to go.
My little daughter, when we Paige did a photo shoot for them, and she was on a painting that he did, and my little daughter Ginger was there, and when we got the painting and put it up in the living room, my daughter said, "Daddy, your guy's not very good." And I said, "What do you mean?" She's about 7 years old. I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, that horse wasn't even there when we did the photo shoot, and he missed the rabbit that was on the ground eating the thing, you know." And she's just a realist at heart. But I thank you, Peter. And it's been a long time we've been doing this stuff together, and it's awesome. We got a lot of big things that are going to come out of Jefferson County, Colorado. We got a lot of big things we're going to do here in the state for Tunnel to Towers. We're building the Veterans Village on I-25 and Colorado Boulevard. And unfortunately, that's a $20 million project, and we need some dough. So go give $11 a month to T2T.org, guys. If you don't do that today, you're not a man.
Rich Wyatt, everybody, have a great rest of your week. I will see you next Saturday at 9 o'clock. Thank you, Adam Walker. Take care of yourselves. And thanks, Kelly Michaels. And I'll see everybody next Saturday morning at 9. Thank you. Tell a friend.